Chapter 2379. What did you say? Say it again. Do you believe that I will beat you up? The black wolf stared at the axe angrily as if someone had stepped on his sore spot. Beat it up? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Did this wolf cub eat a leopard's guts? He actually dared to say that he would beat up a heaven-defying artifact? The artifact spirit was also a little stunned. It was the first time that someone dared to talk to him like this. No. It was not a human, but a wolf. What's more, he was a cowardly and shameless wolf. The black wolf was proud. But suddenly, its eyes widened, and it rushed behind Qin Feiyang, staring at the axe, and said in surprise, Big brother, he can actually speak human language. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Only now did he notice a little. He was really slow to realize. The artifact spirit was also speechless. This big black wolf was really weird. He probably did not notice Qin Feiyang's real name. Previously, he had called Qin Feiyang's real name. But this big black wolf did not react at all. Was he slow to realize? Or was he really slow? It was probably not. He should have been frightened by the dragons and Princess Long Zun. After all, such a big figure, ordinary people would be scared out of their wits. The artifact spirit sighed, Qin Feiyang, I think you should keep a low profile in the future. I know. Qin Feiyang nodded. In the face of the dragons, even a heaven-defying artifact like the axe was helpless, let alone him now. At least until he broke through to the undead stage, he would have the qualification to challenge the dragons. Your name is Qin Feiyang? The big black wolf looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. Sure enough. The artifact spirit was speechless. He really did not notice. Qin Feiyang could not help but smile bitterly. This guy's brain should have been scared silly. The artifact spirit said, Okay, be careful. Qin Feiyang nodded. With a wave of his hand, the axe entered the castle and returned to the fire lotus. Big brother, this broken axe is completely rusted. It doesn't even look like it's qualified to chop firewood, but why is it so powerful? The big black wolf looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. Chopping firewood? The corners of Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched, and he said, if he hears this, he'll definitely hack you to death. The big black wolf shrunk its neck and asked carefully, then what grade is it? Take a guess. Qin Feiyang smiled. Legendary divine artifact? No. The coiling dragon staff is also a legendary divine artifact, but it's not on the same level as him. Could it be that he has already surpassed the legendary level? The big black wolf was bewildered. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. He did not answer its question. He crossed his arms and looked at it silently. What is it? The big black wolf was suspicious. Was there anything on it? It was so awkward to look at it like this. Qin Feiyang joked, you already know my real name. I'm wondering if I should kill you to silence you. Silence me? Big brother, I have parents and children. My whole family depends on me. No, my whole family depends on me, a wolf, to make a living. You can't kill me. How about this, you take me in as your little brother. You'll live a good life with me in the future. No. I'll follow you in the future. I'll live a good life with you. The big black wolf's eyes trembled. It quickly stood up, stretched out its front two paws, and hugged Qin Feiyang's waist, crying and snot. There are elders and children at home? Qin Feiyang's face kept twitching. He really could not find the right words to describe this guy. Big brother, look at me. My parents died early. I'm all alone. I don't even have a descendant. Can you bear to kill me? The big black wolf cried and rubbed its nose, tears, and saliva on Qin Feiyang's body. It rubbed its nose, tears, and saliva all over Qin Feiyang's body. Get lost. Qin Feiyang's face darkened. He kicked the big black wolf, and it was immediately sent flying with a cry. Big brother, I'm so pitiful. The big black wolf did not care and pounced on Qin Feiyang again. Stop. If you come again, I'll really kill you. Qin Feiyang shouted. When the big black wolf heard this, it immediately stopped and looked at Qin Feiyang pitifully. Didn't you just say that you have parents and children and that your whole family depends on you? Why did you say that your parents died early and you don't even have a descendant? Qin Feiyang said with a dark face. The big black wolf was stunned and asked, did I say that? Nonsense. Do you think I'm deaf? Qin Feiyang said angrily. Sorry, cough, actually, it's all true, my background is a little complicated, yes, that's it, you have to believe me. We were just going through thick and thin together in Black Rock City. I definitely won't lie to you, the big black wolf laughed. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. This was a shameless guy. If this guy got together with the white-eyed wolf, wouldn't it cause a ruckus all day long? No. The white-eyed wolf finally stopped playing around and focused on cultivating in seclusion. He could not be led astray by this guy again. However, this pitiful look really made it hard for him to do anything. Qin Feiyang lowered his head and pondered. The big black wolf was extremely nervous. A moment later, Qin Feiyang shook his head, looked up at the big black wolf, and waved his hand. You can leave. Leave? The big black wolf was stunned. It really wanted to leave. But could it leave? Definitely not. Because until now, it hadn't gotten any benefits at all. Although the universe rings of the 20 or so guards and the supreme-grade divine artifacts were also considered a considerable amount of wealth, but could they be compared to the peak-level divine artifacts and legendary divine artifacts? Big brother, just accept me. Don't look at how timid I am now. If I really want to be ruthless, I'm stronger than anyone else. The big black wolf smiled fawningly. That's not the point. You should know how powerful the dragons are. There's no benefit for you to follow me. Let me put it this way. In the eyes of the dragons, I'm a thorn in their side. Qin Feiyang said. He was actually lazy to follow him. It was really helpless. Of course I know that. Even the dragon sovereign and the dragon princess personally came to kill you. You're definitely not a good person. He spoke too quickly and directly spilled the beans. What did you say? Qin Feiyang frowned. No. What I mean is that you're definitely a good person. Otherwise, why would the dragons, these heinous bastards, chase after you? However, since we're already brothers, I definitely can't leave you and drag out an ignoble existence alone. So, I've made a big decision. I'm going to fight against the dark forces with you. The big black wolf roared with righteous indignation. Qin Feiyang smiled. He really couldn't help it. This guy was too outrageous. Didn't he just want the coiling dragon rod on him? And he said it so righteously. Big brother, I've already supported you so much. If you still want to abandon me, then you're a heartless man. The big black wolf looked at Qin Feiyang with grievance. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, I've lost to you. Alright, you can follow me first. Thank you, big brother. In the future, I'll definitely be at your beck and call. The big black wolf roared excitedly. Stop. Don't say such useless things. Qin Feiyang glared at it. Okay. I won't say any more. Big brother, since I've already followed you, shouldn't you give me something, for example, that coiling dragon rod? Don't misunderstand. I'm not greedy for the legendary artifact. I'm just fighting for your face. Look, as your little brother, if I don't have a decent weapon, wouldn't I be embarrassing you, right? The big black wolf licked his face and laughed. Scram as far away as you can. Qin Feiyang said expressionlessly and then lowered his head to think. A hint of disappointment flashed across the big black wolf's eyes. He smiled flatteringly and said, "Big brother, where are we going next?" Qin Feiyang patiently said, "Remember, when I'm thinking, don't disturb me." Okay. The big black wolf nodded repeatedly. But in his heart, he was extremely unhappy. Don't you just have a few divine artifacts? What are you pretending for? Once this emperor gets his hands on them, he'll just leave and not be angered by you. About 10 breaths later, Qin Feiyang's face suddenly revealed a smile. What's wrong? The big black wolf looked at him suspiciously. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "In 2 days, we'll break into the city lord's mansion again." What? The big black wolf's eyes widened in anger. Go to the city lord's mansion again? Isn't this courting death? Madman, what a madman. Following this kind of person will definitely lead to a short life. What do you know? The dragon's princess changed her appearance and guarded Blackrock City in order to find me. This time, it wasn't easy to catch me, but she let me escape from under her nose. Guess what she'll do next? Qin Feiyang laughed. Of course she'll continue to wait. The big black wolf said. Wrong. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Wrong? The big black wolf was stunned. Qin Feiyang said, "Since I already know that she's waiting in Blackrock City, will I still go there?" Only a fool would go. The big black wolf said without hesitation. Yes. Only a fool would go. So, she'll definitely think that I'll leave Blackrock City and she'll naturally go to other places to find me. Qin Feiyang laughed. I understand now. You intend to wait for her to leave before coming back. The big black wolf suddenly understood. That's right. The city lord's mansion's treasure vault can't be missed just like that. Qin Feiyang laughed. Treasure vault, the big black wolf's eyes lit up. Since it was for the treasure vault, it was worth the risk. Wait. Suddenly, the big black wolf looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously and asked, "Then how do you know when she'll leave?" "This depends on you. Go to Blackrock City and ask." Qin Feiyang said. Don't joke. Me? I'm not enough to fill the gaps between their teeth. The big black wolf shook his head vigorously. Only a fool would do something as suicidal as that. You're really not going? Qin Feiyang said. No, I'm definitely not going. The big black wolf shook his head like a rattledrum. All right then, I wanted to say that I'll give you a great creation after this matter is done. But now, it seems like I won't have that chance. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed as he glanced at the big black wolf and shook his head regretfully. Chapter 2380. What good fortune? The big black wolf was startled, and asked anxiously. Qin Feiyang laughed, a great fortune, even more important than the legendary level artifact. The big black wolf was stunned, and said, all right, I'll go right away, it's just asking for information, it's nothing. Finished. The big black wolf then turned around and ran towards Blackrock City. Qin Feiyang laughed bitterly, it seemed like he couldn't get rid of this guy, and said loudly, when you come back, if you don't see me, just shout here. Got it. The big black wolf waved his claws without turning his head. I hope you can return safely. Qin Feiyang muttered. If he could return safely, it meant that this big black wolf was quite powerful. At that time, it wouldn't be impossible to train him a little. Next. Qin Feiyang entered the castle to cultivate. Black Rock City. City Lord's mansion, in a quiet courtyard. Princess Dragon sat in the pavilion, quietly drinking tea. At the side, 2 servant maids were waiting on him. Suddenly, the old man in black flew through the air and landed outside the pavilion, waving at the 2 servant maids. The 2 servant maids immediately bowed and retreated. After the 2 of them disappeared from his sight, the old man in black retracted his gaze, knelt on the ground, and said respectfully, "Greetings, Your Highness." "Get up." Princess Dragons put down her teacup and said indifferently. The old man in black stood up and said, "Your Highness, I have already asked everyone in the mansion, and no one knows the purpose of Qin Feiyang coming to the City Lord's mansion." Princess Dragons clenched her jade-like hands. The old man in black's expression changed as he knelt on the ground again and said, "This subordinate is incompetent, please punish me, Your Highness." Princess Dragons didn't even look at him. She lowered her head and looked at the table, her eyes shining with a cold light. A long while passed. Princess Dragons let go of her hand and asked, "I heard from the 2 servant maids that the City Lord of Black Rock City has a son?" "Yes." The old man in black nodded. Princess Dragon said, "His father is dead, why didn't he appear?" "Your Highness, please forgive me. This subordinate did not know about this matter. However, I heard that this person left Black Rock City this morning with the commander of the guards and 10 guards. But I didn't find out where exactly he went. I think only the City Lord and the City Lord's guards know about this. Unfortunately, they're all dead." The old man in black said regretfully. "Left in the morning?" Princess Dragons frowned. After leaving in the morning, Qin Feiyang came to Black Rock City and killed the City Lord. Could there be a connection between the 2? Thinking of this, Princess Dragons looked at the black-clothed old man and said, "Go and check again. Where did the City Lord's son go today?" "Yes." The black-clothed old man replied respectfully. Then, he got up and left in large strides. Qin Feiyang. "You bastard, how dare you trick me in the Eastern Tomb, wait. No matter where you hide, I will find you." Princess Dragons clenched her hands together again. When she thought of how she was played by Qin Feiyang in the Eastern Tomb, she couldn't help but feel a burst of anger in her heart. However, 3 days passed in a row, and the black-clothed old man still couldn't find the whereabouts of the City Lord's son. The commander of the guards and the 10 guards seemed to have disappeared from the face of the earth. This gave the black-clothed old man a headache. How should he explain to the princess? He had no choice. He could only brace himself and go to find Princess Dragons. Without a doubt, Princess Dragons was furious and almost killed the black-clothed old man. After staying for another half a month, Princess Dragons couldn't stay any longer and finally decided to leave. Just as Qin Feiyang expected. She thought that Qin Feiyang had already gone somewhere else. After sending Princess Dragons away, the black-clothed old man finally breathed a sigh of relief. Half a month, plus 3 days, that was 18 days. While 18 days had passed outside, Qin Feiyang had already been in closed-door training in the ancient castle for 180 years. The reason why he was interested in the City Lord's mansion's treasure vault was entirely because he wanted to see if there was any green pear divine wood. Moreover, the Nirvana tree that Li Dashan had contributed must also be in the treasure vault. These treasures couldn't be missed. "Big brother, I'm back." The big black wolf's voice sounded outside. Qin Feiyang immediately woke up from his seclusion and immediately appeared in the sky above the canyon. The big black wolf was stunned and smiled obsequiously. "Big brother, I didn't expect you to have a spatial divine object. Let's get down to business." "Has she left?" Qin Feiyang said. "Yes. I saw her leave with my own eyes." The big black wolf nodded. "You saw it with your own eyes?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. This was a bit difficult. These days, I have been lurking near the city lord's mansion. Not long ago, I was above the city lord's mansion and saw a black-clothed old man send her away. How is it? I'm still a little powerful. The big black wolf chuckled. How did you do it? Qin Feiyang looked at him suspiciously. A wolf had been lurking near the city lord's mansion for so long without being discovered by anyone? The big black wolf's expression froze, as if it was difficult to speak. Speak. Qin Feiyang said. The big black wolf lowered its head and said, I transformed into a human. He felt that transforming into a human was a form of humiliation for it. What's there to be embarrassed about? Qin Feiyang was speechless. Even the dragons had transformed into human form, what was a wolf being pretentious about? The big black wolf smiled embarrassedly and said, Let's go to the city lord's mansion now. Of course. Qin Feiyang nodded, took an illusory form pill, and changed his appearance. What about me? The big black wolf looked at Qin Feiyang and asked. Qin Feiyang was stunned and frowned, Can't you transform into a human? But, the big black wolf lowered its head, looking reluctant. All right. Hide in my arms first. Qin Feiyang shook his head helplessly. Okay. The big black wolf grinned, its body quickly shrank, and then it crawled into Qin Feiyang's arms. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, opened an altar, and directly descended on the city lord's mansion. Half a month passed. The destroyed hall had been cleaned up. But it was not rebuilt. There were no guards nearby. Qin Feiyang glanced around and asked in a low voice, You said you saw an old man in black just now? Yes. His aura is very strong. I think he's at least a perfected paragon. And according to my inquiries, he seems to be the backer behind the city lord's mansion, the dragon's man. The big black wolf said. The dragons, Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. As soon as the big black wolf saw Qin Feiyang's expression, he realized that something was wrong and hurriedly said, I think it's best not to provoke him at this time to avoid complications. You're quite smart this time. Qin Feiyang smiled. Of course. The big black wolf chuckled. You're starting to be smug? Then do you know why I asked you to come to Black Rock City to inquire about information? Qin Feiyang said. Because I can do it. The big black wolf blurted out. Can do it? How shameless can you be? Let me tell you, I was testing you. If you betrayed me, you would take the princess dragons to the canyon to find me. However, you didn't disappoint me. Qin Feiyang said. The big black wolf's pupils shrank. It turned out that it was a trick. Fortunately, he didn't make a mistake, or it would be over. Qin Feiyang laughed and said, Do you still think you're smart now? Of course I'm smart. Because I made a smart choice and didn't choose to betray you. The big black wolf said. Qin Feiyang was speechless. Because what the big black wolf said made sense. Someone is coming. Suddenly. The big black wolf transmitted his voice. Qin Feiyang was shocked and hurriedly looked around. On a small path hundreds of meters to the left, he saw two guards. Both of them had the cultivation of a perfected divine lord. They seemed to have something to do and hurriedly walked over. Qin Feiyang restrained his aura, so the two of them didn't notice him. The big black wolf said, Catch them and interrogate them. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded and walked toward the two of them. Big brother, wait, what are you doing? You're just going to walk over like this? The big black wolf hurriedly shouted. Otherwise? Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. We're here to be thieves. We have to sneak over and take them down in one fell swoop when they're not paying attention. The big black wolf said. That's what a small thief does. Qin Feiyang smiled. Okay, I'm convinced. The big black wolf said powerlessly. Who are you? The two guards finally noticed Qin Feiyang, and their eyes flashed with cold light. Big brothers, don't misunderstand. I didn't barge in. I got permission from the guard at the door. Qin Feiyang said as he walked toward the two of them. Then who are you? Why are you in the city lord's mansion? The two of them looked at each other, looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously, and asked. Qin Feiyang looked around, leaned in front of the two of them, and whispered, I know where the young city lord is. Young city lord? The two of them were stunned, and a trace of joy appeared in their eyes. But also at this time, Qin Feiyang grabbed the two of them and disappeared from where he stood. Black Tortoise Realm. Medicine Field. The two guards looked around in bewilderment. Qin Feiyang stood in front of the two of them and said with a smile, Welcome to my spatial divine object. Spatial divine object? So big? Who the hell are you? The two of them stared at Qin Feiyang warily. Qin Feiyang made a shushing gesture and said, Don't talk, just answer my question. The two of them looked at each other, and a fierce light flashed in their eyes. Suddenly, they threw a punch at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang did not move, and looked at the two of them with a smile. Roar! The big black wolf rushed out, raised its claws, and smashed towards the two of them. The two of them immediately let out a miserable howl and fell to the ground in a sorry state. The big black werewolf stood in front of Qin Feiyang, arms akimbo, and shouted like an old man, How dare you be impudent in front of my big brother, are you looking for death? It's you. The two guards recognized the big black wolf as soon as they saw it. They never thought that this man and wolf would dare to come to the city lord's residence. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, Now can you answer my questions honestly? Ask. The two guards got up and nodded. Seeing that the two of them were obedient, the big black wolf also started to look at the Black Tortoise Realm curiously. What? That's the spiritual infant tree. And the creation tree. Earth flame flower, heaven flame grass, and Mother Earth chaos divine ginseng, wait, isn't that my 9th grade immortal lotus? Soon. The big black wolf noticed the herbs in the medicine field, and saliva instantly flowed out. Chapter 2381. Qin Feiyang didn't care about it. If it was outside, he would definitely pay attention. But in the Black Tortoise world, no one had the ability to take away a blade of grass or a tree from under his nose. Qin Feiyang looked at the two guards and asked, Where is the city lord's mansion's treasure trove? Treasure trove? So you're here for the treasure trove. The two guards suddenly realized. These days, they had been ordered to investigate the reason why Qin Feiyang and the big black wolf killed the city lord, but they had no clue. They had thought of many possibilities, but they didn't think of the treasure trove. Qin Feiyang said, Answer me. We don't know. The two shook their heads. You don't know? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. I'm not lying to you. We really don't know. The treasure trove in the city lord's mansion has always been a secret. The only people who know are the city lord, the young city lord, and the city lord's confidants. But these people have been killed by you. As for the young city lord and the commander, we don't know where they are now. The two said. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but have a headache after hearing this. If he had known, he would have read the young city lord's memory. Otherwise, why would he have to go through so much trouble? Qin Feiyang frowned. Besides them, no one else knows? What we said is true. If you don't believe me, you can catch a few more people and ask. The two nodded. Qin Feiyang said, Then this treasure trove, won't it become an eternal secret? It won't. When the new city lord takes office, he will definitely start looking for the treasure trove. The two said. Wait. Suddenly, one of them looked stunned, pondered for a while, and said, "There seems to be another person who knows the location of the treasure trove." "Who?" Qin Feiyang quickly asked. The guard said, "Long Qi." "Yes, yes, yes. This Long Qi should know." The other guard also patted his head and hurriedly said, "Who is Long Qi?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Draconic 7 belongs to the dragons. Under the orders of the dragons, I am here to guard Blackrock City. Usually, even the city lord has to listen to him. The two guards said. Qin Feiyang suddenly thought of the black-clothed old man that the big black wolf had mentioned. He asked, "Is it an old man dressed in black?" "Yes. I heard that his cultivation base is already at the great circle of the paramount god level." The two said. Paragon, he's even stronger than He Lang estimated." Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. Given his current abilities, could he possibly defeat a perfect paragon without activating the slaughter domain? "Milord, we've been very honest, haven't we? We've told you everything. Can you let us go?" The two of them looked at Qin Feiyang nervously. Qin Feiyang asked, "Where is Long Qi now?" The two of them said, "He's in the backyard right now. We're just about to go see him." "You're going to see him?" Qin Feiyang was curious. The two of them said, "The head of the Wu family came to ask for an audience, so we rushed over to report." "I see." Qin Feiyang nodded thoughtfully. Suddenly, he came up with a plan and looked at the two of them with a smile. "Take off your black armor." The two of them were very nimble, and took off the black armor in no time. "Where's the backyard?" Qin Feiyang asked. "Follow the path we took just now and walk all the way to the end." The two of them said. "Okay. You can leave now." Qin Feiyang smiled. "Thank you." The two of them were grateful. But soon, a trace of suspicion crept onto their faces. Why didn't he tell them to leave? Why didn't he send them out? "Let's go." "What are you still standing here for?" Qin Feiyang frowned. Where are we going?" The two of them were confused. Qin Feiyang said, "This space is very big, you can go anywhere you want." "Sir, aren't you imprisoning us in disguise?" "We've already answered your question." "How can you do this?" The two of them immediately shouted. They didn't know that this was a real world. "Fire Lotus." Qin Feiyang spoke. Fire Lotus walked out of the castle. Qin Feiyang sent a sound transmission. Black Tortoise Realm should also inject some new blood and send them out of the Devil's Land. Pay more attention. Okay. Fire Lotus waved her hand, wrapped the two of them up, and soared into the sky, disappearing like a bolt of lightning. Qin Feiyang put on a set of black armor and disguised himself as one of them. Then, he grabbed the big black wolf and appeared outside. "Big brother. You have such a big medicine field, why do you want to steal my 9th grade immortal lotus?" The big black wolf went into Qin Feiyang's arms and said unhappily. "Didn't you say that we're brothers? Since we're brothers, then isn't what's yours equal to mine? You're treating me like an outsider." Qin Feiyang laughed as he walked along the small path, quickly walking inside. "Shameless." The big black wolf complained. Not long after, a small lake appeared in front of him. The lake water was clear and sparkling. A few white swans slowly swam on the lake, looking very peaceful. On one side of the lake, there was a 2-story pavilion. Looking around, there was no trace of anyone. Qin Feiyang jumped up and landed in front of the pavilion. Immediately, a woman's gasping sound entered his ears. Why is there a woman's voice? The big black wolf popped his head out and looked at the pavilion suspiciously. Children don't ask if they don't understand. Qin Feiyang sent a sound transmission. The big black wolf rolled his eyes at Qin Feiyang, listened carefully for a while, and laughed. So he's hiding here to have fun. The dragon's princess just left, and he came here to have fun. It seems that the dragon's princess gave him a lot of pressure these days. Qin Feiyang laughed secretly. The big black wolf secretly laughed. Why don't we go take a look? You have such a hobby? Qin Feiyang looked at him in shock. Purely curious, the big black wolf smiled embarrassedly. I think I have to call you a big pervert in the future. Qin Feiyang looked at him with disdain, took a deep breath, pretended to be very anxious, and called to the pavilion, Sir, what's the matter? A dissatisfied shout immediately came out. Qin Feiyang said, There's something I think I need to tell you. Speak. The voice of the old man in black sounded again, sounding even more impatient. Is it convenient? Qin Feiyang asked. If I tell you to speak, then speak. What nonsense are you talking about? The old man in black said angrily. Coming to him at this time, wasn't he deliberately trying to ruin the atmosphere? Okay. The young city lord is back, and he went to the treasure house. Qin Feiyang said. What? In less than 3 breaths. The old man in black ran out, his clothes disheveled, looked at Qin Feiyang, and asked, Are you sure he went to the treasure house? I asked him, he said he was going to the treasure house. As soon as he came back, he went to the treasure house. I felt that this matter was a bit strange, so I specially came to report to you. Qin Feiyang said respectfully. Very good. Later, I'll reward you heavily. The old man in black patted Qin Feiyang's shoulder, turned into a stream of light, and flew to the back of the pavilion. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Is the treasure house here? He hurriedly looked at the pavilion and saw that the woman inside didn't come out, so he activated the concealment method and chased after her. Behind the pavilion, there was a pine forest about half a mile long. The evergreen pine trees were tall and straight. Entering the pine forest, Qin Feiyang saw the old man in black standing in front of a somewhat muddy pool. The pool was not only muddy, but also many dead branches and rotten leaves floating, exuding a rotten smell. Next to it, there was a pile of stones. It looked very inconspicuous. But when the black-clothed old man grabbed a piece of rock and forcefully turned it, the pool automatically split apart, revealing a gloomy underground passage. Then, the old man in black rushed in. So secretive? If no one leads the way, I can't find it at all. Qin Feiyang murmured secretly, and quickly rushed into the underground passage before the pool closed. The dark passage was about 2 meters tall, and it was pitch black. Qin Feiyang restrained his aura and dashed along the secret passage. After about a dozen breaths, he didn't know how deep he had been underground, and a stone door finally appeared. The stone door exuded a strong breath. But at this time, the stone door was open. And the old man in black stood in front of the stone door, glancing inside with a fierce light in his eyes. It seems that is the treasure house. The big black wolf said. Qin Feiyang nodded and didn't stop at all. He held his breath, suppressed his heartbeat, and went straight to the treasure house. What are you doing? Stop. He is standing at the door. Even if you are invisible, you can't escape his senses. The big black wolf hurriedly shouted. Why is this person so crazy? He also hurriedly stopped breathing and suppressed his heartbeat. But Qin Feiyang turned a deaf ear and finally came to the door of the treasure house, standing beside the old man in black. At such a close distance, the big black wolf was extremely nervous, for fear that the old man in black would kill it with a wave of his hand. Qin Feiyang wasn't worried at all. Turning sideways, he walked past the old man in black without touching the ground and successfully entered the treasure house. But the old man in black didn't notice anything unusual. What's the situation? The big black wolf was stunned. Is the invisibility effect so strong? It was a little unbelievable. Bang! Suddenly, the old man in black released his divine thought and instantly swept the entire treasure house and the entire underground passage. I'm dead. The big black wolf wailed. Although invisibility could escape the eyes, it couldn't escape the search of divine thought. Qin Feiyang was still calm. Why is there no one? Is he not here yet? The old man in black quickly withdrew his divine thought and a trace of suspicion crept up between his eyebrows. He glanced at the treasure house again and waved his hand. The stone door quickly closed and then he turned and left. What's going on? His divine thought didn't discover us? His cultivation level must be fake. The big black wolf was stunned. Previously, it thought that it was dead, but in the end, nothing happened. Fake? Qin Feiyang was speechless. If it wasn't for the divine moon jade pendant on his neck, not to mention entering the treasure house, he would have been discovered as soon as he entered the secret passage. But now, he wasn't in the mood to explain and turned to look at the treasure house. His face was full of shock. The big black wolf didn't ask any more questions. Because it was also shocked by the treasure house. Chapter 2382. The treasure vault was more than 10,000 feet in size. Rows of iron shelves were arranged neatly. On the left were divine weapons, and on the right were divine arts. Inside, there were many interspatial rings and interspatial bags. How many were there? So many. Big Black Wolf came back to his senses and immediately ran to the divine weapons on the left. Because to him, divine weapons were more important than anything else. Qin Feiyang walked to the divine arts on the right. With so many divine arts, there must be one that was suitable for him to cultivate. Scanning with his divine consciousness, the information in the jade slips flowed into his mind one after another. Low-tier divine art, clear spirit technique. Low-tier divine art, focus technique. Middle-tier divine art, wind controlling technique. High-tier divine art, illusionary treasure book. Perfect divine art, cloud gathering sword technique, return to one divine art, gradually. Qin Feiyang's face showed a trace of disappointment. There were many divine arts, but none of them were peak level, let alone legendary level. Now, a perfect divine art could no longer arouse his interest. Damn you, at this moment. Big Black Wolf's angry curse sounded. Qin Feiyang turned his head and saw Big Black Wolf angrily glancing at the divine weapons. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. There are so many divine weapons, but none of them are peak level or legendary level. The highest is supreme level. What kind of treasure vault is this? Big Black Wolf was furious. Originally, he was looking forward to it, but the result was disappointing. Black Rock City is just a small place in the divine land. It's normal that there are only supreme-level divine weapons. Qin Feiyang smiled. He didn't take it to heart. Because what he was looking forward to the most was not divine arts or divine weapons, but soul stones. Although there were no high-level divine weapons or divine arts here, there must be a lot of soul stones and divine crystals. I don't believe that there isn't even a peak-level divine weapon. Look carefully. Big Black Wolf was very unwilling to give up. He released his divine consciousness and began to search. Qin Feiyang went straight inside and grabbed an interspatial bag. It was full of medicinal herbs. Basically, he had seen them before. He grabbed another cosmos ring, and his eyes lit up. The cosmos ring was filled with at least hundreds of billions of divine gems. Immediately after, he walked to the deepest part of the cave and grabbed a few more cosmos rings to check. One of the interspatial rings was filled with soul stones. It was estimated that there were billions of them. The others were filled with divine crystals. Innumerable. Suddenly, he found a jade box in a corner. The jade box could be as big as an adult's palm. The surface was spotless. The problem was that it was too clean. This was because the interspatial ring, interspatial bag, and even the iron rack were covered with a layer of dust. Clearly, this jade box had been placed here not long ago. He put down the universe ring in his hand and opened the jade box. A strange fragrance immediately assailed his nostrils. Shockingly, within the jade box lay 3 dark gray fruits that were the size of pigeon eggs. Strands of black mist coiled around them, and they emitted a mysterious aura. This is, Qin Feiyang's body trembled. Wasn't this the Nirvana divine fruit? As he had expected, the city lord had placed the Nirvana divine fruit in the treasury. Wait. Why don't I see the Nirvana divine tree? Qin Feiyang glanced around. No. The Nirvana divine tree can't be placed in the treasury. There is only one possibility for such a precious tree. Where is it planted? In other words, there should be a herb field in the city lord's mansion. Qin Feiyang murmured, and his eyes suddenly lit up. If there was really a herb field, then this herb field was the real treasure. Because the area under the jurisdiction of the Black Rock City was too large, even if one didn't deliberately plunder, one could collect a lot of rare herbs over the years. There were also crystal veins and soul vein. Even a small village like Cloud Mountain Village had a level 9 soul vein and crystal vein, let alone this huge city lord's mansion. Herb field, crystal vein, soul vein, these 3 things were very likely to be together. Because crystal vein could nurture soul vein and herbs. Thinking of this, Qin Feiyang didn't delay any longer and immediately began to sweep through the interspatial rings and interspatial bags on the iron rack. Outside, the old man in black stood by the pool and glanced around, his brows tightly knitted together. He originally thought that the young city lord hadn't rushed over yet, so he stayed here. Because there was only one entrance to the treasury. Whether the young city lord secretly came or used the altar to teleport here, he couldn't hide it from him. However, it had been so long, but he still hadn't seen the young city lord come, which made him feel confused. Lord Long Qi. Suddenly, a voice sounded from the direction of the lake. The old man in black was stunned, and with a few flashes, he arrived above the lake, only to see a black armored guard standing at the entrance of the lake. Greetings, Lord. The guard bowed. What's the matter? The old man in black was suspicious. The guard said, the Wu family head wants to see you, and said that no matter what, please go and see him. The old man in black frowned and said, did he say anything? No. The guard shook his head. The old man in black pondered for a while, stepped in front of the guard, and said, let's go. Yes. The guard nodded respectfully, followed behind the old man in black, and asked, Lord, have you seen Pai Lupi and Theta Wang? Who are they? The old man in black asked. The guard said, they are my companions, and they came to report this to you before. I didn't see them. The old man in black shook his head. The guard said in a deep voice, then they must be neglecting their duties. The old man in black's eyes turned cold, and said, if that's the case, then punish them severely. Yes. The guard respectfully replied. Wait. But suddenly, the old man in black stopped, lowered his head, and looked thoughtful. Lord, what's wrong? The guard looked at him suspiciously. The old man in black turned to look at the guard, waved his old hand, and a shadow quickly condensed, and asked, do you know him? The guard looked at the shadow and said, Lord, he is Pai Lupi. He is Pai Lupi? The old man in black was stunned, and said, are you sure? I have worked with him for many years, and I can recognize him even if he turned to ashes. After the guard finished, he suspiciously said, "But Lord, since he didn't come to you, how do you know what he looks like?" When the city lord was still here, small characters like them were not qualified to see the old man in black. So, the old man in black was not familiar with many people in the city lord's mansion. He came. But only one person came. And he didn't mention a word about the Wu family head's request. The old man in black whispered. Not a word? Didn't he ask them to come and report this? And Theta Wang, where did he go? The guard looked puzzled. The old man in black suddenly felt flustered, and looked at the guard and asked, "Did the young city lord come back?" "No." The guard shook his head. The old man in black pondered for a while and asked again, "He really didn't come back?" "Really? I have been guarding the gate. If the young city lord came back, I would have seen him." The guard said. "The young city lord didn't come back, he didn't mention a word about the Wu family head's request, could it be?" the old man in black murmured. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something, and his expression changed drastically. He immediately turned around and rushed toward the treasure vault. "Lord," the guard hurriedly shouted. "Don't follow me. Go and tell the Wu family head that I am not seeing any guests today." The old man in black shouted without turning his head. "Yes." The guard bowed and replied. What was going on? The treasure vault. At this time, it had been swept clean. Although there were no high-level artifacts or techniques, it was worth the trip to get so many soul stones and divine crystals. Of course. This was only for Qin Feiyang. The big black wolf was still quite depressed. It had found the treasure vault with great difficulty, but there was not even a peak-level artifact. "All right. I will return this to you." Qin Feiyang looked at it speechlessly, took out the divine bow and threw it to the big black wolf. This was the peak-level artifact that he had snatched from the younger brother of the Wu family head. It was just a peak-level artifact. He did not care about it. If it was on him, he would find it taking up space. Before. The reason why he had not returned it to the big black wolf was because he wanted to teach this guy a lesson. "Thank you." The big black wolf grabbed the divine bow and immediately became spirited. "Now that you have the artifact, can you stop following me?" Qin Feiyang said. "You want to send me away with a peak-level artifact? I am not a beggar. Even so, there is still a legendary artifact." The big black wolf said these words without thinking. Qin Feiyang looked at it coldly. The big black wolf noticed that the atmosphere was not right. When he saw Qin Feiyang's expression, he immediately realized that something was wrong. Don't misunderstand. I am joking. I am following you because I value your character. It has nothing to do with worldly things like artifacts. You have to believe me. I swear in the name of the 3 black leopard brothers." As soon as he opened his mouth, the big black wolf could not be stopped and was full of flattery. Stop. Qin Feiyang hurriedly waved his hand. If he did not stop him, who knew what kind of oath this guy would swear in the name of the 3 black leopard brothers? He could not let the 3 black leopard brothers take the blame. After all, they were all helping to find medicinal herbs. Believe me. I am such a person who cares about character. No, I am a wolf. If your character is not good, let me tell you, I will not even look at you. The big black wolf said proudly. Well, as long as you like it. Qin Feiyang rubbed his forehead, looked at the tightly closed stone door, and said, "Go and blast it open." Okay. The big black wolf shouted, immediately grabbed the divine bow, and smashed it at the stone door. But it did not get close. The stone door opened on its own. Qin Feiyang's expression froze, and he immediately realized that the situation was bad. He took a step forward and grabbed the large black wolf before vanishing without a trace. The stone door opened quickly. A black shadow rushed into the treasure vault. It was the old man in black. As soon as he entered the treasure vault, the old man in black was dumbfounded. Where was the divine technique? Where were the divine weapons? Where were the Qianquan ring and Qianquan bag? They were all gone. There was no suspense. The old man in black who came back to his senses was immediately furious. His divine consciousness rolled out and covered all directions. Chapter 2383. But he couldn't find anything in his spiritual sense. Damn it, damn it. The black-clothed old man was furious. He turned around and rushed out of the treasure vault. Standing above the pine forest, he released his spiritual sense again. But he couldn't find anything outside. Bastard, don't let me find you, or you will die without a burial place. The black-clothed old man roared. His anger spread to the entire city lord's mansion. What happened again? The servants and guards of the city lord's mansion all looked at the backyard in surprise. In the castle, the big black wolf stood beside Qin Feiyang and looked at the black-haired old man in the picture. He laughed and said, "It's obviously right next to him, but I can't see it. This feeling of being a thief is really good." Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at him and lowered his head to ponder. Where would this medicine field be? Ask someone. It definitely wouldn't work. Because the medicine field was as important as the treasure vault for a force. People as cautious and selfish as the city lord and the black-clothed old man would definitely not tell others. Wait. Since the treasure vault was in the backyard, was the medicine field also in the backyard? Qin Feiyang drove the castle to the pine forest and then turned the picture. In front of the pine forest was the lake and the attic. On the left and right sides, there were many halls. But behind the pine forest, he found that there was a mountain range, covering an area of about 12 miles. In the divine land, such a mountain range was very small. But in a city, a mountain range that covered an area of more than 12 miles seemed extremely vast. However, the mountains here were not high. In the mountains, the vegetation was lush and green. And in the mountains, he didn't sense the aura of fierce beasts. It was extremely quiet. Since this was the backyard of the city lord's mansion, then the mountain range in front of him should be the back mountain of the city lord's mansion. If it were him, he would definitely put the medicine field here. Thinking of this, Qin Feiyang immediately steered the castle and silently flew towards the back of the mountain. As for the black-clothed old man, to be honest, he didn't want to provoke him. After all, the other party was a perfect god. And as a member of the dragons, he must have powerful divine weapons and divine arts in his hands. To be blunt, Qin Feiyang just wasn't sure. Where are we going now? The big black wolf looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. Qin Feiyang did not answer. While driving the castle, he scanned the screen. Very soon, he entered the central region of the back mountain and found that there was a large valley in front of him. The valley was surrounded by mountains on all sides, like an airtight cage. Qin Feiyang drove the castle to the sky above the valley curiously. Immediately, his eyes were filled with ecstasy. The valley was filled with medicinal herbs. Every stalk of medicinal herb was like a precious treasure, emitting a hazy glow. He recognized most of the herbs. For example, the tree of creation, the divine infant tree, the dragon saliva fruit, the white jade fruit, the purple spirit grass, and so on. In the middle of the medicinal field, there were even more precious medicinal herbs. For example, the everlasting divine fruit, dragon god flower, departed spirit flower, een soul wood, primordial divine lotus, etc. More importantly, The ingredients for Nirvana Divine Pill and Chaos Divine Pill were also available here. He only saw 10 stalks of flame sky grass. He also saw 11 earth flame flowers. He also saw more than 10 ninth grade immortal lotuses. There were even 6 Nirvana Divine trees. One of the Nirvana Divine trees was only about half a meter tall and did not have a single fruit. However, the other 5 Nirvana Divine trees were all more than 2 meters tall, and there were more than a dozen unripe fruits on each of them. So many. Qin Feiyang's breathing became rapid. That half a meter tall Nirvana Divine tree was obviously the one that Li Dashan snatched from him. The other 5 were undoubtedly obtained by the city lord. One Nirvana Divine tree had more than 10 fruits. There were also flame sky grass, earth flame flowers, ninth grade immortal lotuses. These medicinal herbs were completely enough for him to refine pills. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang noticed that there was a strange tree beside the Nirvana Divine tree. There were a total of 7 trees. Compared to the Nirvana Divine tree, these 7 trees were extremely tall and thick. They were as thick as an adult's thigh. They were about 5 to 6 meters tall and had luxuriant leaves. Each leaf was the size of a baby's palm and was like a green jade carved with a hazy divine light. On the tree, in addition to the leaves, there were also many green fruits. The shape of the fruits was like a pear. Each fruit was as big as a fist, and they were also glowing with a hazy light. Fruit tree? Qin Feiyang was stunned. He had never seen such a fruit tree before. However, he felt that it was somewhat familiar. Wait? Why did he feel that it was familiar? Could it be? He quickly turned around, ran to the altar and opened the alchemy scripture. Soon, he knew what kind of tree it was. Divine Green Pear Tree. The divine green pear tree used to refine the Nirvana Divine Pill came from this divine green pear tree. According to the alchemy scripture, it was squeezed together. The divine green pear tree had a total of 2 functions. First, the fruits of the divine green pear tree were sweet and had the effect of prolonging one's life and strengthening one's foundation. Second, the divine green pear tree. Every divine green pear tree would slowly condense a section of divine green pear tree at its roots after years of absorbing the essence of heaven and earth. The divine green pear tree was at most half a foot long. Moreover, digging out the divine green pear tree would not cause any harm to the divine tree itself. After digging it out, a new divine green pear tree would condense after a few hundred or a few thousand years. If the essence was abundant, it wouldn't take so long. A section of divine green pear tree would be born in a few decades. Qin Feiyang also didn't expect this. There were even divine green pear trees here, and 7 of them. To him, the value of this medicinal field far exceeded the treasure vault. He just didn't know if there was Mother Earth Chaos Divine Ginseng here. Because Mother Earth Chaos Divine Ginseng grew underground and couldn't be seen with the naked eye. He had to use his spiritual will. Qin Dage, you've made a killing this time. At some point in time, Huo Lian entered the cultivation room and stood beside Qin Feiyang. She smiled as she looked at the herbs in the medicinal field. That's right. We've made a killing. So many herbs, it's completely out of my expectations. Qin Feiyang chuckled. I don't know if you've noticed, but there are some herbs here that aren't recorded in the pill scripture. Fire Lotus scanned the few herbs in the medicinal field with suspicion in her eyes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Of course he noticed it too. For example, one of the small trees was completely blood red, as if it was soaked in blood. There were also a few blood-red fruits on the tree. What was even stranger was that, although the fruit was only the size of an egg, it had a nose and eyes, like a baby. Qin Feiyang had no impression of this kind of small tree at all. Moreover, there was only 1 stalk in the entire medicinal field. Obviously, This small tree was even more precious than divine green pear tree and nirvana divine tree. It was possible that it was the herbs needed for the pill formulas recorded in the next page of the pill scripture. No matter what, he couldn't let go of a single herb in this medicinal field. Phew! Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and turned to look at Fire Lotus, saying, "Give me the axe, just in case." "All right." Fire Lotus nodded and immediately took out the axe and handed it to Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang grabbed the axe and appeared in the sky above the valley with the big black wolf. As soon as he appeared, Qin Feiyang was stunned. There were so many herbs in the valley, but there was no medicinal fragrance in the air. What was going on? Could it be an illusion? Perhaps, suddenly. His gaze focused as he scanned the air above the valley. The possibility of an illusion was basically not high. Then the only explanation was that this valley was sealed by a barrier. The valley was sealed, so the medicinal fragrance could not spread out. And not only was there no medicinal fragrance, he couldn't even sense the energy of the spirit vein and crystal vein. "What are you standing there for? Hurry up and do it." The big black wolf glanced at him and rushed down the valley. Boom! Suddenly, a barrier appeared around the valley. The big black wolf was caught off guard and crashed into the barrier on the spot, feeling dizzy. But the barrier didn't even move. At the same time, the old man in black standing above the pine forest suddenly turned around and looked in the direction of the herb field. Why would the barrier react? There were no fierce beasts in the mountain. Could it be, was it a thief who robbed the treasure vault? Bastard! The old man in black was furious and used teleportation to rush towards the herb field. However, although he was angry, this time, he was more careful and restrained his aura like a ghost. Above the valley. What the hell is this? The black wolf took a few steps back and looked at the barrier in surprise. The barrier also slowly disappeared into the air. This is the consequence of being impulsive. I'm afraid that Long Qi has already sensed the situation here. Qin Feiyang looked in the direction of the attic and frowned. The big black wolf raised his eyebrows and said, "You knew there was a barrier here?" "I guessed," Qin Feiyang said. The big black wolf said angrily, "Then why didn't you tell me?" "I said it was a guess. Besides, with your personality, if you didn't see it with your own eyes, would you believe me? Get out of the way." Qin Feiyang glared at it in annoyance and swung his axe. Seeing this, the big black wolf hurriedly retreated. "Break!" Qin Feiyang shouted in a low voice, rushed to the top of the barrier in one step, and chopped down with his axe. Buzz! The barrier appeared again, and then with a crack, it was torn apart. "What? He actually broke the barrier that I set up?" The black-haired old man who was rushing over suddenly showed shock in his eyes, and there was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. To be able to break the divine barrier that he set up, wouldn't that mean that his cultivation was stronger than his? His heart couldn't help but beat like a drum. As soon as the barrier was broken, a strong medicinal fragrance and a majestic energy surged out like a flood that opened a gate. Qin Feiyang's gaze trembled. Putting aside the medicinal fragrance, because everyone knew that it was emitted by these medicinal herbs. And that energy was the energy of the spirit vein and crystal vein. He had never seen such majestic energy. It was hard to imagine. How many spirit veins and crystal veins were there? Mine. They're all mine. The black wolf was stunned for a moment and immediately pounced towards the medicinal field. Qin Feiyang ignored it and released his divine sense into the ground below the medicinal field. Immediately, his face was full of excitement again. Underground, there were a total of more than a dozen Mother Earth Chaos Divine Ginseng. His divine sense didn't stop and continued to go underground. Soon, his entire body began to tremble. This wasn't fear, nor panic, but excitement, excitement. Chapter 2384. What made him so excited was naturally the spirit vein and crystal vein. There were at least 100 spirit veins under the ground. The crystal vein was about the same. Every crystal vein and soul vein was entrenched in the ground like a divine dragon. This trip is so worth it. Qin Feiyang clenched his fists. He had obtained so many spirit veins and crystal veins in one trip. The divine land was indeed a place full of surprises and temptations. Compared to the divine land, the northern region, the eastern tomb, the western desert, and the southern wilderness were worlds apart. After coming back to his senses, Qin Feiyang immediately put away the axe and stood above the valley. Divine power rolled out and rushed to the bottom of the valley. That's right. He wanted to move the entire valley, including the spirit vein and crystal vein, to the Black Tortoise realm. Because it would save time. What are you doing? Don't be so violent, okay? The big black wolf said angrily. As it spoke, it secretly took away 2 ninth-grade immortal lotuses. It thought that no one would know, but little did it know that everything was under Qin Feiyang's eyes. But now, Qin Feiyang was not in the mood to fool around with it. Soon, his divine power covered the entire bottom of the valley, including the spirit vein and crystal vein. Rise! Following his roar, the ground beneath him began to shake. He's only a minor divine lord? Not far away. The old man in black stood on a small hill and looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. How could a minor divine lord break the barrier he had set up? You're such a bastard. The big black wolf rushed out of the valley and glared at Qin Feiyang. During this time, it secretly took away 2 earth flame flowers and sky flame grass. The old man in black looked at the big black wolf. It's only a perfect divine lord, strange. What's going on? The old man in black was perplexed. A small success God Lord and a great perfection God Lord were actually able to break open the enchantment that he, a great perfection God, had set up. Did they have other helpers? He was a very vigilant person and would not make a move unless he was completely confident. Crack! Following a series of loud booms, the entire valley began to leave the ground and rise into the air. There are so many herbs, spirit veins, and crystal veins. If there are other helpers, they would definitely stay and help, but now, there's only the 2 of them. Looks like I was too paranoid. Perhaps they used some other method to break the spirit formation. With this thought in mind, the black-clothed old man's eyes suddenly surged with killing intent. Like a shooting star, he flashed towards Qin Feiyang and the big black wolf like lightning. He no longer concealed his aura. What? The big black wolf's expression suddenly changed. Qin Feiyang's expression was also rather angry. Of all times, he had to come at this time. He really knew how to find the right time. Even the treasury and herb fields of my city lord's mansion have been robbed. You guys are really tired of living. The black-clothed old man let out a loud roar as a terrifying aura surged from his body. There was a strong dragon might in this vicious aura. Retreat! The big black wolf shouted anxiously. Although the herb fields, spirit veins, and crystal veins were tempting, their lives were more important. The other party was a perfected paragon god. Such an expert was not someone they could contend with. Qin Feiyang's eyes turned cold. He turned his head to look at the big black wolf and shouted, "You take over, I'll deal with him." What? You still want to deal with him? Big brother, I admit that you are very strong, but can you not speak nonsense? Do you think he is a perfected god of war, a perfected divine lord? Do you really think you can deal with a mighty perfect paragon? The big black wolf said angrily. Have you forgotten how I broke the spirit formation? Qin Feiyang laughed secretly. The big black wolf was slightly stunned, and the shadow of an axe immediately appeared in his mind. I see. Huh, old bastard, I advise you to get lost immediately. Otherwise, this day next year will be the anniversary of your death. The big black wolf laughed wildly as he released his divine power to replace Qin Feiyang and continue to move the valley. What's going on? The black-robed old man looked at the big black wolf suspiciously. Why was it suddenly so arrogant? Qin Feiyang turned to the black-robed old man and pointed to the sky. Let's fight up there, in case the shockwaves from the battle destroy these herbs, crystal veins, and spirit veins. Are you that confident? The black-robed old man raised an eyebrow. You are a perfected paragon god. What are you afraid of? If you are afraid of the big black wolf, there is no need to take these herbs away. It doesn't have a spatial divine item, so it can't take these things away from under your nose. But if you are afraid of me, then get lost as soon as possible. Don't be an eyesore here. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Do you think I am afraid of a lesser divine lord? Are you kidding me? Do you want to die? Fine, I will fulfill your wish. The black-robed old man stepped forward and rushed into the clouds like lightning. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly and flew up after him. They are all gone. Then can I really take these treasures and run? No, no. If I really do that, not only that old bastard dragons, but even Qin Feiyang won't let me go. The big black wolf muttered and erased the unrealistic idea in its heart. Qin Feiyang was faster than it. The black-robed old man was faster than it. Run? No matter how it ran, it would be finished. The clouds. You really dare to come up? It seems that I have underestimated your courage. Fine. Then let me see what you are capable of. The black-robed old man smiled coldly, and his aura flooded Qin Feiyang like a waterfall. So this is the aura of a perfected paragon god. Qin Feiyang murmured. Although this aura couldn't completely imprison him, it still posed a great threat to him. It was as if he had fallen into a quagmire, and it was difficult to move. Die. The black-robed old man didn't hold back. He rushed forward and punched Qin Feiyang with his divine power. With Qin Feiyang's current state, it was impossible for him to dodge this punch. Whoosh! Without hesitation, Qin Feiyang immediately entered the castle. The black-robed old man's punch missed and he immediately released his divine sense, but there was nothing around. Didn't you want to fight? Why are you hiding now? He couldn't help but shout. Whoosh! Before his voice died away, Qin Feiyang appeared in the distant void. Without saying a word, he directly activated the kill technique. Because now, divine techniques like the Dragon God technique and the Fire Phoenix technique were useless. Clang! A blood-colored long sword appeared in an instant. A monstrous murderous aura suddenly roared in the sky. Look! There are people fighting in the sky. It seems to be the guards of the City Lord Mansion. The other old man also seems familiar. It's him. Dragon 7 of the Dragon Clan. What's going on? Why are the guards of the City Lord Mansion fighting with him? That guard seems to be only a small success divine lord. Heavens, has he gone mad? Although Long Qi rarely shows himself, in our Black Rock City, who doesn't know that his strength is even stronger than the City Lord? He's really courting death. The Black Rock City below was in an uproar. Everyone's face was filled with disbelief. At the same time, in the sky, the black-robed old man looked at the blood-colored long sword in Qin Feiyang's hand in surprise. The power of this sword had surpassed the divine lord level? How was this possible? If it was a divine artifact of a certain level, it was still possible. But previously, he clearly saw with his own eyes that this blood-colored sword was condensed by this person's murderous aura. In other words, this was a divine art of killing. How could a divine art ignore the barrier of a large realm and increase the power to this extent? Not much, just this sword. Qin Feiyang said in a low voice. He wanted to see if the power of the kill incantation would allow him to fight a great circle paragon without using his deadly domain. Clang! The blood-colored long sword shook and immediately flew out of his hand, carrying a blood-colored wave as it charged toward the black-robed old man. Humph! The black-robed old man snorted coldly, and a wave of divine power rolled out. This was the true power of the dragon god. The dragon's aura instantly enveloped the world. Boom! Clang! In an instant, the divine power and the blood-colored long sword met. Accompanied by a deafening sound, the blood-colored long sword was immediately shattered. Puff! Qin Feiyang spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot, his face filled with a bitter smile. What was this? He was completely unable to put up any resistance as he was being crushed like dried twigs. It seemed that he had overestimated his ability. This kind of thing actually did not need to be tested. Because a perfect divine lord was a full 8 small realms above him. If the half-step divine lord was added, it would be a total of 9 small realms. No matter how heaven-defying the blood-colored sword was, it could not surpass so many realms. This is your strength? It really scared the hell out of me. The black-robed old man laughed. As long as one was not an idiot, one could hear the sarcasm in this person's words. Qin Feiyang sorted out his emotions. He was not depressed. Because in the face of such a strong opponent, being able to have the courage to come out and fight was already worthy of praise. Die! The black-robed old man took a step forward, and in less than half a blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Qin Feiyang. There was a cruel look in his eyes. That speed, even Qin Feiyang could not catch it. Clang! But at this moment, the axe appeared, a piece of rust fell off and swept toward the black-robed old man. The black-robed old man's heart suddenly surged with a strong sense of crisis. Without hesitation, he immediately dodged. But he still did not dodge. The rust pierced through his left shoulder, and blood suddenly spurted out. Axe! It's you! You are Qin Feiyang! The black-robed old man exclaimed and immediately turned around, stepping on the auxiliary technique, and flew away without looking back. At this moment, the previous arrogance had disappeared, and his face was full of horror. How could it be this fierce man? Although his cultivation was stronger than Qin Feiyang's, when he saw Qin Feiyang, it was as if he had seen a demon. Because Qin Feiyang's deeds had long been spread in the dragons. Even the great ancestral dragons, who had always been high and mighty, were greatly injured by this man, let alone him. Now in the dragons. In addition to the great ancestral dragons and the dragons, even the patriarchs of the dragons' major clans did not dare to confront head-on, unless they had a heaven-defying artifact. As for the name Qin Feiyang, it was like a death knell that caused their expressions to change. Chapter 2385. Clang! The axe chased after him, piercing the sky with its divine might. Don't chase. But at this time, Qin Feiyang said. What's wrong? The voice of the artifact spirit sounded in his mind. Hurry up and retreat, otherwise when Long Zun arrives, we will be in a passive position again. As for this person, if there is a chance in the future, I will take care of him slowly. After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he swooped down and landed next to the big black wolf. The ancient castle was sealed again, and he really did not dare to face Long Zun. Because Long Zun was so strong that it made people despair. The entire valley, including the crystal vein and the spirit vein, had been taken out from the ground by the big black wolf. At least you know what's good for you, you didn't run. Qin Feiyang patted the big black wolf. Am I the kind of wolf that leaves my brother and escapes alone? The big black wolf was dissatisfied. Qin Feiyang said, You know, that's not what I mean. Then what do you mean? Are you suspecting that I'm going to run away with these treasures? What are you thinking? I treat you as my big brother, what do you think I am? The big black wolf glared at Qin Feiyang angrily. Qin Feiyang's face was dark. What was he thinking, didn't he know in his heart? And he still wanted to complain to him? Fine. I can't afford to offend him, but I can't hide. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the valley, the spirit vein, and the crystal vein disappeared in an instant. Following closely. He immediately opened an altar and jumped on it. The axe also flew through the air and floated in front of Qin Feiyang. What are you doing? There's still me, don't you know to say goodbye if you want to leave? The big black wolf hurriedly jumped up. Qin Feiyang said with a dark face, I just don't want you to follow me. Okay. We just went through fire and water, and now you want to burn the bridge after crossing the river? You are really heartless and have no conscience. The big black wolf glared at him angrily. Get lost. Qin Feiyang kicked, and the big black wolf howled on the spot, flying out like a meteorite. Bastard! The big black wolf roared. Qin Feiyang ignored it, and his figure quickly faded away. Wait for me, what should I do if you leave me behind? The big black wolf hurriedly rushed towards the teleportation altar, using all of its strength. It arrived just in time before the teleportation altar dissipated. This is too unbelievable. Long Qi is so strong, but he was actually beaten away by him. What level of divine weapon is that axe? The people of Blackrock City were all shocked. What? He appeared in Blackrock City again? Outside the city. The black-clothed old man stood respectfully in the air. In front of him was the image of a woman. The shadow was none other than Princess Dragon's. Yes. The old man in black nodded. This damned bastard, he actually turned around and attacked. Looks like his motive for killing the city lord was for the city lord mansion's treasures. Princess Dragon said gloomily. Your Highness, although this person's cultivation is very weak, he has a heaven-defying artifact in his hand. People like me can't stop him at all. The black-clothed old man said. I know. Princess Dragons nodded. And I'm worried that he will come to Blackrock City again. Your Highness, why don't you send an imperishable stage expert to Blackrock City to guard it? The black-clothed old man was really scared. The other party had a heaven-defying artifact. A small fry like him was not enough to kill. A small Blackrock City needs an imperishable stage expert to guard it. Do you think an imperishable stage expert is a cabbage? Princess Dragon said angrily. I'm sorry. The black-clothed old man quickly apologized. Don't worry. The City Lord Mansion's treasures have been robbed. He won't go to Blackrock City again. I already have a plan. He won't be able to jump around for long. Princess Dragon snorted, and the shadow quickly dissipated. Sigh. The black-clothed old man sighed and turned to look at Blackrock City. To be honest, he really didn't dare to go back now. There was already a shadow in his heart. Whoosh! At this moment, a middle-aged man in black flew out of the city and looked around. When he saw the black-clothed old man, he immediately flew over and bowed. I'm Wu Dao, greetings to Lord Dragon 7. What are you doing here? The black-clothed old man raised his eyebrows. Wu Dao smiled flatteringly. I'm here to report to Lord that the thief has left. Really? The black-clothed old man asked. Wu Dao nodded. That's good. The black-clothed old man breathed a sigh of relief, looked at Wu Dao, and asked, I heard from my subordinates that you want to see me? Yes. Wu Dao said. What's the matter? The black-clothed old man was suspicious. Wu Dao looked around and found that there were many people watching at the city gate. He whispered, It's not convenient to talk here. Why don't you move to the mansion, we can talk while drinking. Okay. The black-clothed old man nodded. Canyon. Qin Feiyang glanced at the big black wolf and said, I'm going to the space divine item, you guard outside. Big brother, don't leave me behind. If you want to go, take me with you. You see, I have parents and children. When the big black wolf heard that, it immediately hugged Qin Feiyang's thigh and cried. Qin Feiyang could not help but feel a headache. It was completely relying on him. Big brother, I've been treating you with sincerity, can you bear to do that? Let's talk about it later. Didn't you say that after the matter is done, you will give me a good fortune? As a person, especially someone as great and noble as you can't go back on your words. The big black wolf looked at Qin Feiyang pitifully, looking extremely wronged. Great? Noble? Qin Feiyang was speechless. There was really no way to flatter him. Enough. Don't look so pitiful. Those who don't know will think that I bullied you. Qin Feiyang glared at it. You were bullying me in the first place. The big black wolf muttered. What did you say? Qin Feiyang's eyes turned cold. No, no, the big black wolf hurriedly waved its paws with a flattering face. I shouldn't have come to provoke you. Qin Feiyang shook his head, let out a long breath, and entered the black tortoise world with the axe and the big black wolf. What is this place? The big black wolf looked around in surprise. Although Qin Feiyang repeatedly said that this was a space divine item, it felt that it was not so simple. If you follow me, you have to remember one thing, don't ask what you shouldn't ask. Qin Feiyang glared at it and looked at Fire Lotus. Getting so many herbs, Spirit Vein, Crystal Vein, and Fire Lotus in one go naturally made him very busy. Girl, it's been hard on you. Qin Feiyang walked to Huolien's side and said with a smile. This is a small matter, it's not hard at all. Fire Lotus smiled, but there were beads of sweat on her forehead. Qin Feiyang helped her wipe the sweat away, then turned to the big black wolf and shouted, What are you standing there for? Come and help. Okay, okay. The big black wolf immediately ran to Fire Lotus and smiled. Sister-in-law, please take care of me in the future. Sister-in-law? Fire Lotus was stunned. Qin Feiyang was also stunned. What was this? Wasn't this a random matchmaking? The artifact spirit could not stand it anymore and said angrily, Wolf cub, don't talk nonsense, they are brother and sister. So they are brother and sister, I'm sorry. Looking at the two of you, I thought you were partners. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. The big black wolf bowed again and again, looking very funny. Qin Feiyang shook his head speechlessly and looked at Fire Lotus. Prepare 2 sets of herbs for the Nirvana Divine Pill and Chaos Divine Pill and send them to my cultivation room. Okay. Fire Lotus nodded. Qin Feiyang turned to the big black wolf and said, Give all the herbs you have to Fire Lotus. Herbs? What herbs? The big black wolf's eyes darted around. Was he discovered? That's not right. He was very careful at that time. He must be blackmailing him. Fire Lotus, I'll leave them to you. If he doesn't listen, beat him up. After saying that, Qin Feiyang turned around and entered the castle. Okay. Fire Lotus nodded and looked at the big black wolf with a smile. Little girl, you'd better not do anything. I'm not a human man. If you dare to do anything, I'll beat you up. The big black wolf looked at Fire Lotus fearlessly. Fire Lotus restrained her aura and looked gentle and obedient, so the big black wolf thought she was just an ordinary girl. Beat me up? Fire Lotus was stunned. That's right. Although you're Big Brother's sister, you'll have to call me Big Brother in the future. The big black wolf said. Why? Fire Lotus held back her laughter and looked at him curiously. Because I'm stronger than you. Besides, we're family now. You'll need me to protect and help you in the future. Shouldn't you call me Big Brother? The big black wolf shook his head and said leisurely. That makes sense. Fire Lotus nodded. What do you mean by makes sense? That's what I mean. Anyway, I won't mistreat you. When you're free, help me pour tea and water. It's best if you give me a massage. The big black wolf said. Pour tea and water. Massage? Fire Lotus looked at him in a daze. Where did he find the courage to be so impudent in front of her? Fu Tu stood at the side and watched silently as the big black wolf pretended to be cool. Because he knew that the big black wolf was done for. No one could save him. Just as he expected. Fire Lotus's face turned cold. She grabbed the big black wolf's tail and smashed him on the ground like a rubber ball. Bam! Ow! The big black wolf howled and shouted, "Little girl, are you trying to mess with me? You still dare to be arrogant?" Fire Lotus's eyes darkened. She stomped down and the big black wolf's entire body sank into the ground with a loud bang. Let go. Otherwise, don't blame me for not giving your brother face. The big black wolf roared. Does she need you to give her brother face? You'd better think about how you're going to repent. The artifact spirit gloated. Hearing the weapon spirit's words, the big black wolf's heart skipped a beat. Was he wrong? Was she actually a tigress? Soon. His guess came true. Under Fire Lotus's hands, he could not resist at all and could only be abused. Oh my God! Why is this sister even fiercer than her brother? Hero, big sister, spare me. He was no longer arrogant and begged for mercy. If this continued, he would definitely be beaten black and blue. Are you still arrogant? No. Do you need me to pour you tea and give you a massage? No need, I'll pour you tea and give you a massage. As long as you say the word, I'll do it all. What about the herbs? Right away, I'll give them all to you, at this moment. Fire Lotus smiled proudly and let the big black wolf go. The big black wolf lay on the ground and looked at Fire Lotus with grievance. Tears were about to come out. She was clearly a tigress. Why did she have to pretend to be harmless? Wasn't she deliberately tricking him? She was too much. How could she be like this? Chapter 2386. In the ancient castle, in the cultivation room. Qin Feiyang took a divine life pill and walked to the altar. He opened the pill scripture and carefully read the refining steps and techniques of the Chaos Divine Pill and the Nirvana Divine Pill. He was also injured in the fight with the old man in black. If it were any other time, he wouldn't care. Because the self-healing ability of the bloodline power was enough to repair it. But now, he was about to start refining pills, so he had to keep himself in the best state. And the steps and techniques of refining pills were also very important. Because these herbs were very rare. He didn't want to waste them because of his carelessness or underestimation. Time passed by. A moment later, Fire Lotus entered the cultivation room and gave Qin Feiyang a total of 4 sets of herbs. 2 sets of each pill. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "I'll leave the outside matters to you." Okay. Fire Lotus nodded, looked at the pill scripture, and asked, "I heard from the big black wolf that you're going to give it a good fortune?" Qin Feiyang shook his head helplessly and said, "I just said it casually. I didn't expect it to remember it so clearly. This wolf cub is indeed a little unruly, but it's okay to keep it by our side. Fire Lotus said. Qin Feiyang asked in astonishment, you've taken a fancy to it? Fire Lotus smiled and said, I just think it's fun. I don't know if it's fun or not. I knew it. Keeping it by our side will definitely cause us a lot of trouble. You can do as you see fit. If necessary, give it a potential pill. Qin Feiyang said. Okay. Then I won't disturb you. Fire Lotus said. Qin Feiyang nodded, and suddenly seemed to think of something and said, by the way, when we're sorting out the treasures in the treasury, can you help me take a closer look and see if there are any better pill furnaces? The current pill furnace was found by Tang Hai and Zhao Tai. It was just an ordinary low-grade divine pill furnace. Now that they were in the divine land, they naturally had to get a better pill furnace. There were also differences in the quality of deity cauldrons and pill fires. They were respectively lower grade, middle grade, upper grade, extreme grade, peak grade, and teleportation. Yes. Huo Lian nodded in response. She turned around and walked out, closing the stone door behind her. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and closed the alchemy mantra. He calmed himself down and began to concoct the Dan. First, what he refined was the Chaos Divine Pill. Chaos Divine Pills and Nirvana Divine Pills were of a higher grade than the Four Symbols Infinite Divine Pills. Be it in terms of spiritual energy or heat control, the requirements were extremely strict. When refining pills, he naturally couldn't be distracted. Qin Feiyang was concentrating on every step of the process. About an hour had passed. Whoosh! Finally, an earthy yellow pill flew out from the pill furnace. The 8 pill veins on it were extremely eye-catching. The cultivation room was immediately filled with a strong medicinal fragrance. Qin Feiyang watched in amazement for a while before he started to refine the Nirvana Divine Pill. He was as careful as when he was refining the Chaos Divine Pills. The 4 types of spirit liquids were successfully refined. Crack! However, just as he was about to fuse the spirit liquids, a crisp sound suddenly came from the bottom of the Azure Phoenix cauldron. Qin Feiyang immediately panicked. It was in this moment of panic that he lost control of the 4 drops of spirit liquids. The next moment, the Azure Phoenix cauldron suddenly exploded. Cauldron explosion. Qin Feiyang didn't hide and hurriedly retreated with the remaining 2 sets of herbs. But even so, he was still injured by a piece of metal. The wound was so deep that his bones could be seen and blood flowed out. Boom! The stone door opened. Fire Lotus and Big Black Wolf ran in. Looking at the dusty cultivation room, Fire Lotus's face changed and exclaimed, Qin Dage, what happened? Are you hurt? It's just that the cauldron exploded, I'm fine. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Cauldron explosion? Fire Lotus was slightly stunned and said suspiciously, it shouldn't be, with your attainments in alchemy, how could the cauldron explode? The Azure Phoenix cauldron's grade is too low. Qin Feiyang sighed. Before, the cauldron didn't explode because of his mistakes, but because the bottom of the Azure Phoenix cauldron cracked, causing him to be frightened and lose control. As for why the bottom of the Azure Phoenix cauldron cracked? Without a doubt, it was because the Azure Phoenix cauldron's grade was too low and couldn't refine elixirs like the Nirvana Divine Pill. Before, it was estimated that the Azure Phoenix cauldron had reached its limit to successfully refine the Chaos Divine Pill. It was a pity that a set of herbs for the Nirvana Divine Pill was wasted just like that. It's good that you're fine. Fire Lotus heaved a sigh of relief. Brother, what kind of elixir are you refining that caused the cauldron to explode? Big Black Wolf looked at Qin Feiyang in amazement. Qin Feiyang ignored him and looked at Fire Lotus. Have you dealt with the crystal vein, the spirit vein, and the herbs in the valley? It took him nearly 2 hours to refine these 2 elixirs. Fire Lotus must have dealt with most of the things outside in 2 hours. Of course. This was also because it was his first time refining, so it took him so long. When he refined it a second time, a third time, and slowly familiarized himself with it, the time would be greatly shortened. I've transferred all the herbs in the valley to the herb field. As for the spirit vein and crystal vein, just like the god-level spirit vein, placed under the herb field. Fire Lotus said. How many? Qin Feiyang asked. There are too many herbs, I didn't count. But I've counted the spirit vein and crystal vein. There are a total of 85 spirit veins of level 9 and below. There are 34 divine soul lines. Including the one we obtained from the Seven Birds Mountain, we have 35 divine soul lines. Fire Lotus said with a smile. So many? Qin Feiyang was shocked. Counting all the spirit veins he had, there were a total of 120. Qin Feiyang suppressed the excitement in his heart and asked, what level are these god-level spirit veins? Fire Lotus said, they're all level 1. They're all level 1? Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned and frowned, not even one level 2. No. I guess level 1 spirit vein is the highest in this area of Black Rock City. Fire Lotus said. Okay. Even if there are no level 2 god-level spirit veins, I'm satisfied. Qin Feiyang smiled and asked again, what about the crystal vein? Level 9 and below, a total of 80 spirit veins. There are 50 god-level crystal veins. They're all level 1. Altogether, there are 130 spirit veins. Fire Lotus said. Great. This is getting rich overnight. Qin Feiyang laughed. 120 spirit veins, 130 spirit veins, in the 4 major regions, no one except for the super forces like Ninth Heaven Palace and the Treasure Pavilion could afford this. In the Divine Land. Just Black Rock City alone had so many spirit veins. It was hard to imagine how many spirit veins and crystal veins there would be in places bigger and more advanced than Black Rock City. To him, the Divine Great Land was a treasure trove of feng shui. Okay. Let's go and count the treasures in the treasury. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. He put away the 2 sets of herbs and the Chaos Divine Pill in a jade box and put it in the interspatial ring. Am I seeing things? 8 elixir veins? The big black wolf muttered. The 2 men and the wolf entered the hall of the ancient castle. The hall was filled with interspatial rings, interspatial pouches, and all kinds of divine weapons and spells. After a whole day of work, the 2 men and the wolf finally counted the treasures. There were more than 200 billion spirit stones. There were more than 1 trillion divine crystals. There were countless herbs. There were tens of thousands of divine artifacts. There were also thousands of divine spells. However, although they had so much wealth, they didn't find a single elixir furnace. Fire Lotus said, Qin Dage, you don't need the Nirvana Divine Pill now anyway. Why don't you go into seclusion and cultivate? The Nirvana Divine Pill opened the door to the potential of a Divine Lord. To open the door to potential, one's cultivation had to be raised to a perfected Divine Lord. Qin Feiyang was only a lesser Divine Lord now. There was still a long way to go before he became a perfected Divine Lord. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. The Princess of the Dragons was looking for him. It was good for him to disappear for a while. Big brother, big sister, did you forget about me? This time, I can be considered to have made a great contribution in looting the treasure trove and herb field. Shouldn't you give me some? The big black wolf looked at the 2 of them with grievance. Big sister? Qin Feiyang looked at Fire Lotus in a daze. Fire Lotus was a little embarrassed. She didn't like this name either. But after she tortured the big black wolf kept calling her that. Now, she was used to it. Big brother, big sister, say something. You can't erase my contribution. Let's not talk about the soul vein, the crystal vein, and the herb fields. Just the 200 billion soul stones and a trillion divine crystals are a huge number. The big black wolf felt wronged. Qin Feiyang sized up the big black wolf, his eyes flickering. Why are you looking at me like that? The big black wolf was suspicious. Qin Feiyang asked, think about it. Do you really want to follow me? Of course. The big black wolf nodded. He was secretly happy. He must be prepared to give him benefits. Otherwise, he wouldn't ask this. Aren't you afraid of death? Qin Feiyang asked again. No. The big black wolf shook his head. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and nodded. Okay, I can give you a great fortune, but you have to be controlled by the slave seal. Control? The big black wolf was surprised. Qin Feiyang turned to Fire Lotus and said, tell him about the slave seal. Fire Lotus nodded. Qin Feiyang looked at the big black wolf and said, come find me when you've thought about it. Wait. What kind of great fortune is it? Can you tell me now? The big black wolf said. It can let you open all the doors of potential and step into half-step paragon in a short period of time. Most importantly, you can cultivate in the castle and refine our soul stones as you wish. After Qin Feiyang finished, he turned and entered the cultivation room. What? Open the doors of potential? Step into half-step paragon? The big black wolf was stunned and muttered, is this true? It's true. Think about it carefully. As for the slave seal, Fire Lotus explained in detail. After listening, the big black wolf couldn't help but feel his scalp go numb. Erase the soul? Peek into one's mind? And be able to sense its location through the slave seal? Wasn't this equivalent to handing over its life and freedom to this person? His original plan was to get his hands on a legendary artifact and then leave. No. It had to think about this carefully. Otherwise, once it agreed, it wouldn't even have the chance to go back on its word. Chapter 2387. A few days passed. The big black wolf finally made a decision. Regardless of his personal freedom, he had to get his hands on this great fortune first. Thus, it found Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang directly used the slave seal to control it. After controlling the big black wolf, Qin Feiyang was not stingy and immediately asked Fire Lotus to help it open the door of potential. He even gave it the Chaos Divine Pellet. However, Qin Feiyang had told it that it could take the Chaos Divine Pill first, but it could not break through. Because the Nirvana Divine Pill had not been refined yet, the door of potential of the Divine Lord could not be opened, so he had to wait for him to find a new pill furnace. In the blink of an eye. Outside, more than 2 years had passed. Boom! At noon that day, Qin Feiyang's aura suddenly soared and directly broke through to the great success Divine Lord. I've finally broken through. Qin Feiyang muttered, opened his eyes, restrained his aura, got up, stretched his muscles and pushed open the stone door. In the hall, Fire Lotus and the big black wolf were not seen. When Qin Feiyang walked out of the hall, he saw Huolian sitting in the courtyard at the side. She was comfortably drinking tea and enjoying her peaceful life. It's quite comfortable. Qin Feiyang walked into the courtyard and laughed. Fire Lotus was slightly stunned, then quickly put down the wine cup and said, "You're out." "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded and sat opposite Fire Lotus. Fire Lotus picked up the teapot and poured a cup for Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang picked up the teacup and took a sip, then asked, "Where's the big black wolf? Ever since it left, I haven't seen it come back for thousands of years. I don't know where it went to fool around." Fire Lotus shook her head. Thousands of years? Qin Feiyang was stunned. That's right. A day outside is 10 years here. You've been in seclusion for more than 2 years, which is 7 or 800 days. 7 or 8,000 years have passed in that ancient castle. Fire Lotus said. Qin Feiyang stared blankly for a moment before he smiled bitterly and said, 10 years in a day. I'm really not used to the change in time rules. Do you know that in these 7 to 8,000 years, our black tortoise world has changed a lot? Fire Lotus smiled. What changes? Qin Feiyang looked at her curiously. Now, our black tortoise world is no longer dominated by false gods. A large number of war gods have emerged. Moreover, 2 superpowers have appeared. They have basically unified the black tortoise realm. You probably can't guess who's in charge of these 2 super forces. Fire Lotus said. Qin Feiyang said, don't tell me it's Hua Yi. Fire Lotus asked, why would he do something so senseless? Who is that? Qin Feiyang was curious. Fire Lotus said, it's the 2 guards you brought in from the Castellan Manor. I think they're called Pai Lupi and Theta Wang. It's them? Qin Feiyang was dumbfounded. Just these 2 small characters could dominate the black tortoise world? Fire Lotus smiled, is it hard to believe? Qin Feiyang nodded. It's only natural. Because our black tortoise world's humans and fierce beasts aren't strong to begin with. And both of them are divine monarch realm cultivators. Tell me, with their divine monarch realm strength, what's so difficult about dominating the black tortoise world? Fire Lotus said. Qin Feiyang was stunned for a moment, then shook his head and laughed. 2 small characters that are like ants in the outside world can actually dominate our black tortoise world. It really makes one not know whether to laugh or cry. Also, the soul vein and crystal vein we looted from the Castellan Manor have all evolved. The original grade 9 soul vein and crystal vein have all evolved to First Order High God realm. The original First Order High God realm soul vein and crystal vein have evolved to Second Order High God realm. I've collected several hundred sets of Chaos Divine Pills and Nirvana Divine Pills medicinal herbs. Fire Lotus said. Several hundred sets? Qin Feiyang was dumbfounded. That's right. Just like the Nirvana Divine Fruit, as soon as it ripens, I will pluck it, then it will bear new fruits, and so on. 7 to 8,000 years have passed, naturally, there will be more. Fire Lotus said. Qin Feiyang suddenly understood, looking at the ancient castle with a smile, these are all bestowed by it. Yes, the ancient castle has really helped us a lot these years. We must be grateful to it. Fire Lotus said. Qin Feiyang nodded, asking, what about Hua Yi, is there any news about him? No. You can take a look. Because you're the ruler of the black tortoise world, no matter where he hides, you can find him. Fire Lotus said. Forget it. Let's not disturb him. As for Pai Lupi and Theta Wang, let's not interfere and let them develop. Qin Feiyang said. I think so too. I also hope that one day, our black tortoise world can develop to the same level as the ancient world. Fire Lotus said with a smile. The same level as the ancient world, Qin Feiyang muttered, sighing, that still needs a long time. With the ancient castle's time law, it's only a matter of time. Fire Lotus was very confident of this. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly, holding his teacup and drinking tea. Oh right, Qin Dage, I have an idea, I wonder if it'll work. Fire Lotus seemed to have thought of something, looking at Qin Feiyang. What idea? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. To make the black tortoise world stronger, resources are indispensable. Like crystal veins, soul veins, divine arts, divine artifacts, herbs, and so on. Fire Lotus said. That's right. Qin Feiyang nodded. So I'm thinking, those divine arts, divine artifacts, and herbs that we don't need, can we give them to the Black Tortoise world? Fire Lotus asked. Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned, then suddenly slapped his head, saying, "That's right, why didn't I think of that?" In these years, the divine artifacts and divine arts he had obtained could be said to be enough to fill an entire treasury. Not to mention the low-grade divine arts and divine artifacts, just the perfect divine arts, top-grade divine artifacts, and peak-grade divine artifacts were many. And these divine artifacts and divine arts were worthless to him, but to the Black Tortoise world, they were undoubtedly a treasure trove. Also, for example, the pill recipes you have, you can actually give them. Because this is your world, no matter what they obtain, they won't be a threat to you. And as long as you're willing, you can take them back immediately. Fire Lotus said. That makes sense. Qin Feiyang nodded, pondering for a moment, then smiled. Those things are basically under your care. If you don't find it troublesome, I'll leave this matter to you. What's so troublesome about it? Not to mention, I have nothing better to do anyway. Fire Lotus said. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly, then took off his own universe ring, taking out all the divine artifacts and divine arts, saying, "These are also for you." For himself, he only kept the coiling dragon staff and azure phoenix sword. Fire Lotus said in surprise, "You're not leaving the other two legendary divine artifacts?" "No need. The azure phoenix sword and coiling dragon staff are enough. The other two legendary divine artifacts and peak-grade divine artifacts will be given to the Black Tortoise world. But you can't give them to them directly," Qin Feiyang said. "Then how?" Fire Lotus was doubtful. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, "Don't our Black Tortoise world have 4 forbidden areas?" "Yes. The Devil's Land, the Nether Sea, the Soul-Sealing Valley, the Undead Mountain Range, and the desert in the depths of the Undead Mountain Range," Fire Lotus said. "The Undead Mountain Range, the desert, the cedar in the Undead Mountain Range has already merged with me, and the undead in the desert have also been devoured by you. I think we should call them the Desert of Death from now on," Qin Feiyang said. Fire Lotus was surprised, then asked, "You still can't forget about the cedar? How can it be so easy to forget?" Qin Feiyang sighed. Fire Lotus's expression also showed a trace of disappointment. "Forget it. Forget it. We can't let them get their hands on these divine artifacts and divine arts so easily. They have to rely on their own abilities. So, throw all these things to the 4 forbidden areas and let them find them themselves," Qin Feiyang said. "Okay." Fire Lotus nodded. Also, in the pill scripture, other than the Nirvana divine pill and Chaos divine pill recipes, make a copy of all the other recipes and throw them to the 4 forbidden areas," Qin Feiyang said again. Just as Fire Lotus said, he was the ruler of the Black Tortoise world, and even if the recipes were to spread in the Black Tortoise world, without his permission, no one would be able to spread them to the ancient world. And the little boy also said that, as the ruler of the Black Tortoise world, he had the duty and responsibility to nurture the living beings of the Black Tortoise world. In short, the stronger the living beings here, the stronger the Black Tortoise world would be. Then let's do this. Let's find a place and create something like a historical site, and put all the important divine artifacts, such as legendary divine artifacts, peak divine artifacts, and pill recipes inside. Then, like a miracle, it will open every few years. Fire Lotus thought and suggested. Qin Feiyang was slightly surprised, then nodded, "That's a good idea." Fire Lotus smiled slightly. She was just suggesting, as for how to do it, it was up to Qin Feiyang. "I think the location should be in the deepest part of the desert, and build a 100-story divine pagoda. Put a treasure in every floor of the divine pagoda. For example, a supreme-grade divine artifact, a perfect divine art, a pill recipe, or a precious medicinal ingredient. And legendary divine artifacts, peak divine artifacts, and potential pills, these pill recipes, are all placed above the 50th floor. And inside, set up various difficulties, such as fierce beasts, traps, mechanisms, and so on. The higher you go, the more difficult it will be. Qin Feiyang said. After Fire Lotus heard this, she pondered for a while and smiled. I basically know what to do. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, all right then, I'll go out first. As for the details, you can do as you see fit. Fire Lotus nodded. Qin Feiyang drank the last mouthful of tea, then got up and left the castle. After changing his appearance, he flew towards Black Rock City. Fire Lotus also got up and flew towards the Desert of Death. But the two of them didn't know that someone had been watching them the whole time. It was that little boy. He stood at the top of the clouds, his small face showing an unusual maturity and gratification. Finally, he's enlightened. It's all thanks to that woman called Fire Lotus, otherwise, who knows when he would have thought of these things. Do your best. The Black Tortoise world will change because of you. The future Black Tortoise world will definitely become a great world like the ancient world. Even surpassing the ancient world, the little boy chuckled and also hid in the sky, disappearing without a trace. Indeed. Qin Feiyang's decision was a great opportunity and fortune for the Black Tortoise world, and at the same time, an earth-shattering reform. Chapter 2388. Haishi City. 2 years ago was a very short time for Xiaofan. Everyone still hadn't forgotten about the city lord being killed. Like the major restaurants. When everyone drank and chatted, they would mention these things. South City Gate. Pedestrians came and went in a hurry. An old man with mottled white hair walked towards the city gate unsteadily with a wooden cane in his hand. He looked like he would fall if the wind blew. The passers-by would avoid the old man when they saw him. It wasn't because the old man was strong, nor was it because the old man had a strong background. It was because the old man had a pungent smell on him, as if he hadn't bathed for decades. Therefore, everyone looked at him with disdain. So smelly. When the old man walked to the city gate, the 4 guards immediately pinched their noses. The disgust on their faces couldn't be concealed. Old man, you're at least a beginner war god. Don't you know how to clean yourself up and be more decent? Go, don't block the way. 2 years ago. The city lord's mansion had a big change, so the city gates were guarded very strictly. People who entered and left had to be checked by the Heaven's Eye Stone. But at this moment, facing the white-haired old man, the 4 guards didn't have the intention to check him. They only hoped that the old man could leave as soon as possible. The white-haired old man smiled faintly and took a step forward, trembling as he walked towards the city. He didn't care about the smell on his body at all. There are really all kinds of people in this world. He's obviously healthy, but he still stinks. I think there must be something wrong with his brain. The 4 guards shook their heads and continued to check the people who entered and left. What's that smell? So smelly? In the city. At this moment, scolding was everywhere. The crowd on the street looked at the white-haired old man and all avoided him. They were extremely disgusted. But no matter how they scolded him, the white-haired old man still maintained his smile. Old man, I beg you, quickly find a place to wash. To be honest, I really admire your courage. You dare to run out like this, aren't you afraid of being beaten up? A few young people shook their heads. You can't stand such a small matter. Young people, it's not good to be impatient. The white-haired old man chuckled. You're still taking advantage of me? You're a classic example of not being ashamed, but being proud of it. Taking advantage of your seniority. A few young men said angrily. Gentlemen, don't be impulsive. Look at his old arms and legs. If anything happens to him due to fright, he might blame it on you. Someone advised from the side. Hearing this, the young people immediately took a few steps back and looked at the white-haired old man warily. She couldn't be here to scam him, right? It was best to keep a respectful distance from such people. Regarding this, the white-haired old man merely chuckled and became extremely calm. He looked around at the crowd and asked, "Excuse me, how do I get to the treasure pavilion?" "Turn right up ahead, then turn left after 2 blocks. You'll reach the Bao Pavilion after 3 blocks. Someone said impatiently. "Thank you." The white-haired old man nodded his head and expressed his gratitude. Then, he strode towards the treasure pavilion, completely ignoring the disdainful gazes around him. Treasure Pavilion. As the only major force in Divine Land apart from the dragons and the dragon-slaying palace, it naturally had its own strengths. Everyone in the treasure pavilion kept a low profile. They never caused trouble outside and never competed with the dragons for resources. Sometimes, they even took the initiative to give it to the dragons. The white-haired old man wandered all the way and finally arrived at the treasure pavilion. He stopped in front of the door. The magnificent building in front of him gave off a great sense of oppression. But it wasn't luxurious. It was even a little plain, but it didn't lose its grandeur. There was an endless stream of people shuttling back and forth. After all, the treasure pavilion was the only public trading place in Divine Land. Naturally, there was a lot of traffic. However, when the white-haired old man appeared in front of the door, everyone couldn't help but stop and look at the white-haired old man strangely. Who was that? This smell was too unbearable. Looking at him, he still wanted to enter the treasure pavilion? There were so many customers in the treasure pavilion. Weren't they here to cause trouble? "Old man, are you going to enter the treasure pavilion?" At the door, there were 2 receptionists. One of them walked to the white-haired old man with a suspicious look and asked. "Yes." The white-haired old man nodded. "Old man, your sweat stinks, why don't you go wash up first? There's a restaurant next door." The receptionist was very tactful and his attitude was very polite. This meant that, the people in the treasure pavilion were indeed good. There seemed to be a trace of satisfaction in the white-haired old man's eyes. "Old man, don't blame me because your image will indeed affect the other customers. After all, this is a place to do business." The receptionist said again. "All right." The white-haired old man nodded. But just as the white-haired old man turned around, a young man in purple came with a group of guards. "Get out of the way, get out of the way. Young Master Wu is here." 2 servants ran to the front and shouted arrogantly at the crowd. Everyone's expression changed and hurriedly retreated to the side. "Young Master Wu?" The white-haired old man looked at the young man in purple and the guards with a trace of doubt in his eyes. Weren't they the guards of the City Lord Mansion? Who was this young Master Wu? Was he also from the City Lord Mansion? What's that smell? The young man in purple walked over and frowned. He scanned the surroundings and soon locked his eyes on the white-haired old man. You. Get lost, don't affect my young master's mood." Seeing this, the 2 servants immediately walked toward the white-haired old man angrily. The road belongs to everyone. The treasure pavilion doesn't belong to your family. What right do you have to tell me to get lost? The white-haired old man said lightly. Ouch! How dare you talk back? Let me tell you. Not to mention this road, now the entire Blackstone City belongs to my young master. The 2 servants sneered. Old man, you should leave quickly. They can't afford to offend him. The receptionist saw that the situation was not good and secretly transmitted a message. Why can't they? Is there no law in this world? The white-haired old man said. Old man, this should be your first time in Blackstone City. The Wu family is now the law of Blackstone City. Because the head of the Wu family is the current city lord of Blackstone City. The person standing in front of you is the son of the head of the Wu family. Tell me, can you afford to offend him? The receptionist secretly said. The head of the Wu family is the current city lord? The white-haired old man was stunned. The receptionist said, "Old man, go quickly, wash up and come back." The white-haired old man thought for a while, looked up at the purple-clothed young man, and turned to leave. Stop. But at this time, the purple-clothed young man spoke. The white-haired old man was stunned and turned to look at the purple-clothed young man. Talking back to this young master, and you want to leave without even an apology? The purple-clothed young man had his hands behind his back, and his eyes looked insufferably arrogant. The white-haired old man laughed hoarsely. What this old man said is the truth. What's wrong? Since there's nothing wrong, why should I apologize? You still dare to talk back to him? This old man, is he tired of living? People muttered. The purple-clothed young man was not scary. Because he had the cultivation of a great success war god. However, the forces behind him were terrifying. For example, his father was not only extremely strong, but after becoming the city lord, he had the support of dragons. Who could afford to offend him? Even the treasure pavilion had to be respectful. The purple-clothed young man was also a little stunned. Ever since his father ascended the throne of the city lord, no one dared to offend him like this. Suddenly, he felt that he couldn't keep his face. A trace of hostility flashed in his eyes as he shouted, "Kill him! Young Master Wu, please calm down. After all, this is in front of our treasure pavilion, please don't kill anyone." The receptionist hurriedly said. What is the treasure pavilion? If this young master is unhappy, I will directly give the order to flatten your treasure pavilion. The purple-clothed young man had a look of disdain. Flatten the treasure pavilion? The receptionist was stunned, and his face suddenly became angry. Another receptionist also stepped forward and glared at the purple-clothed young man, saying, "Young Master Wu, don't go too far." Too far? The purple-clothed young man was stunned, turned his head to look at the guards beside him, and asked, "They said this young master went too far, did they?" "No, no. Now the entire Black Rock City is yours, young master. You can do whatever you want, who dares to say no?" The group of guards smiled flatteringly. "Did you hear that? The entire Black Rock City is mine, who do you think you are?" The purple-clothed young man looked at the two receptionists and smiled proudly. The two of them clenched their hands. Thinking back, before the head of the Wu family became the city lord, this person dared to be so arrogant in the treasure pavilion? Wonderful, wonderful. This old man has finally seen what it means to be a dog relying on its master's power. At this moment, the white-haired old man standing to the side laughed hoarsely. Everyone looked at the white-haired old man. They thought to themselves, how dare he speak up? He didn't even see young Master Wu and was already angry. Wasn't this asking for trouble? As expected. When the purple-clothed young man heard this, a fierce look appeared on his face. He stared at the white-haired old man and said coldly, "How dare you call this young master a dog? You really haven't died before. Immediately cut him into 8 pieces for this young master." The two guards immediately waved their spears and charged towards the white-haired old man. Tell the truth. Calling you a dog is already praising you. You don't want to be a good person, but you want to be the claws of dragons. The white-haired old man smiled coldly, and a vast aura burst out of his body like a flood. What? He's not the god of war. Everyone was shocked. The two receptionists also looked at the white-haired old man in surprise. The purple-clothed young man also had a shocked look on his face. The two guards immediately stopped and sized up the white-haired old man. As long as they are the claws of dragons, I will kill them on sight. The white-haired old man took a step forward, and a strange invisible force surged forward like a tide. The two servants and the group of guards fell to the ground one after another, accompanied by miserable cries. There were no injuries on their bodies. It was as if they had suddenly died of exhaustion. How is this possible? Everyone was dumbfounded. How did this old man do it? Boom! At this moment, the white-haired old man's aura shot straight up to that of a great success divine lord. He's not the god of war. He's a great success divine lord. Everyone could not help but swallow their saliva. In fact, great success divine lords were not considered very strong in Blackrock City. However, the methods that the white-haired old man had displayed were unheard of. To be able to kill all the guards effortlessly without causing any injuries, this method was simply too terrifying. Chapter 2389. Whoosh! While everyone was still in shock, the white-haired old man had already walked up to the purple-clad young man. What are you doing? How dare you kill me? My father won't let you off. The dragons won't let you off either. The purple-clad young man was terrified. He didn't expect the old man to be so bold. The white-haired old man turned a deaf ear to him. He raised his arm and grabbed the purple-clad young man's neck like an eagle's claw. Let go of me. The purple-clad young man struggled and roared. He had never been so flustered before. It was as if a grim reaper was holding his neck, making it difficult for him to breathe. Remember, the dragons won't be your protective talisman. Instead, they'll only bring you death. The white-haired old man smiled and clenched his fist. The purple-clad young man's neck was broken on the spot. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere. The head also fell to the ground with a thud. Following that, the white-haired old man stomped his foot again. The head fell to the ground and turned into a pile of meat on the spot. The soul was directly annihilated. He even killed young Master Wu. This is going to be big. The city lord won't let him off. The surrounding crowd was shocked to the extreme. He was so old, but his methods were so tyrannical. He was simply going to poke a hole in the sky. However, the white-haired old man was still indifferent. He nodded and smiled at the surrounding crowd, then turned around and walked into the treasure pavilion with his walking stick. The two receptionists looked at each other. One of them immediately chased after the old man and said, "Old man, you should leave." The people in the treasure pavilion had also seen the scene outside. Therefore, no one dared to despise or mock the white-haired old man anymore. Their faces were filled with fear. This was fear for the strong, but also fear for the white-haired old man's courage. The white-haired old man glanced at the counter and asked the receptionist, "Why do you want to leave? You killed young Master Wu. The city lord won't let you off. Although you're very strong, you're still far from the city lord's mansion." The receptionist was burning with anxiety. The white-haired old man chuckled. "You're not worried about me. You're worried that I'll implicate the treasure pavilion." The receptionist's expression froze. Yes. He was worried that the treasure pavilion would be implicated. Once the city lord arrived and saw the old man in the treasure pavilion, he would definitely vent his anger on them. However, this old man clearly had no intention of leaving. "Don't worry. I'll take responsibility for my own actions. I won't implicate your treasure pavilion. I came to the treasure pavilion to see if there are any pill furnaces. The treasure pavilion is a place to do business. We can't possibly drive our customers away." The white-haired old man smiled faintly. The receptionist smiled bitterly and asked, "Then what kind of pill furnace do you need?" The white-haired old man said, "The higher the level, the better. Our Blackrock City's treasure pavilion's best pill furnace is a middle-grade pill furnace, and the cheapest one is 100 billion deity crystals." The receptionist said. The white-haired old man said unhappily, "Are you afraid that I don't have the money to pay?" "I'm not afraid." "Yes, we have to make it clear in advance so that the elderly can be mentally prepared." The receptionist said politely. "You're quite a smooth talker. Divine crystals are not a problem, but what this old man wants is a higher-grade pill furnace." The white-haired old man said. Since the old man wants to buy a pill furnace, he must be an alchemist. And as an alchemist, you should know how rare pill furnaces are. Even in our treasure pavilion, it's difficult to find a pill furnace in a year. As for higher-grade pill furnaces, the elderly man might have to go to bigger cities to buy them. The treasure pavilions in cities such as Xiantian City and Myriad Cloud City should have high-grade and supreme-grade pill furnaces for sale. The receptionist said. Xiantian City, Myriad Cloud City, the white-haired old man muttered and asked, "Are they far from Blackrock City?" "Yes. Relatively speaking, the closest one is Myriad Cloud City," the receptionist said. The white-haired old man pondered for a while and said, "All right then, give me a middle-grade pill furnace first." "Okay. Please wait a moment, I'll go get it right away." The receptionist immediately turned and left. He was waiting for this. As long as he could send this old man away quickly, he would give it to him for free. Outside, more and more people began to gather around. And without exception, when they saw the corpses of the purple-clothed young man and the group of guards, they could not help but change their expressions. "What's going on?" A black-clothed young man in his 20s, who looked very ordinary, came out of the crowd and looked at the corpses on the ground with a rather shocked expression. But when he came back to his senses, a trace of excitement crept into his eyes. However, in the excitement, there seemed to be a trace of anger. "Big brother, how did he die?" The black-clothed young man turned to look at a middle-aged man next to him and asked. "He was killed by an old man," the middle-aged man said casually. "Old man?" A trace of suspicion flashed in the black-clothed young man's eyes as he looked at the guards again. Wait a minute. This was not right. Why were there no wounds on their bodies? Their divine senses were erased. It's really terrifying. They were all wearing high-grade armor, but this old man could actually ignore their defense and directly erase their divine souls. I wonder how he did it? The middle-aged man exclaimed. Ignore defense and erase their divine souls. Hearing this, the black-clothed young man's eyes suddenly trembled as he asked, "Big brother, where is that old man?" He entered the treasure pavilion. "What do you want to do?" "Let me tell you, this person even dared to kill young Master Wu, so he must have a background. Don't provoke him." The middle-aged man warned the black-clothed young man out of kindness. But the black-clothed young man did not listen at all and directly rushed into the treasure pavilion. Very soon, he found the white-haired old man. Although he had not seen the white-haired old man before, many people in the treasure pavilion were looking at the white-haired old man and whispering, so it was easy to distinguish him. The black-clothed young man did not rush over. He stood behind the crowd and sized up the white-haired old man with eyes full of surprise. As for the white-haired old man, he did not seem to notice the gazes and discussions around him at all as he looked at the things sold at the counter. Not long after, the receptionist hurried back and handed a Qianquan bag to the white-haired old man. The white-haired old man's divine sense sank into it. Inside the Qianquan bag, there was a pill furnace that was overflowing with treasure light. The white-haired old man then took out a Qianquan bag and handed it to the receptionist. It was naturally filled with divine crystals. The receptionist did not even count and looked at the white-haired old man with a smile. "Old man, can we leave now? The dignified treasure pavilion only has this bit of courage." How disappointing. The white-haired old man shook his head, put away the pill furnace, and turned to leave with his walking stick. Although the treasure pavilion treated people well, their fear of the dragons disappointed him greatly. Hearing this, the receptionist could not help but look a little displeased. You are alone, of course you are not afraid of the dragons. But there are so many people in the treasure pavilion. If you want to survive in China, you have to bow to the dragons. There was no choice. After the white-haired old man walked out of the treasure pavilion, the black-clothed young man followed. He didn't leave Black Rock City immediately. Is he not afraid that the city lord will bring people to look for him? Is he really fearless or is he pretending to be calm? Looking at the white-haired old man wandering on the street, everyone's eyes were full of suspicion. Not long after, the white-haired old man entered an alley. The alley was full of twists and turns. After the white-haired old man turned a corner, the black-clothed young man also quickly rushed into the alley. At this moment, the white-haired old man walked out from behind the corner. The two immediately stood face to face. The black-clothed young man's face suddenly showed a trace of panic. The white-haired old man asked, "Why did you follow me?" I didn't. I just happened to be passing by this alley." The black-clothed young man shook his head in panic. "You have been following me since you came out of the treasure pavilion. Don't tell me that you just happened to be passing by these roads." The white-haired old man said. The black-clothed young man became more and more flustered. "Speak." The white-haired old man slammed the walking stick in his hand, and a great pressure rushed towards the black-clothed young man. "Senior, please calm down. I followed you because I have something to ask." The black-clothed young man hurriedly said. "What is it?" The white-haired old man withdrew his pressure and said. The black-clothed young man said, "Do you know a person called Gao Xiaofan?" "Gao Xiaofan?" The white-haired old man was stunned and asked suspiciously, "Who are you, and why are you asking about him?" The black-clothed young man looked excited and said, "Senior, you know Gao Xiaofan?" "Yes. He is my disciple." The white-haired old man nodded. "So the two of you are master and disciple. No wonder you both know how to ignore the opponent's defense and kill the soul directly." The black-clothed young man came to a realization. The white-haired old man said, "You haven't answered my question." The black-clothed young man bowed and said, "Senior, I am from Cloud Mountain Village. My name is Li Feng. I met Brother Gao 2 years ago." "Li Feng?" The white-haired old man was stunned and looked at the black-clothed young man. The black-clothed young man took a face-restoring pill and his appearance changed drastically. Who else could it be but Li Feng? The white-haired old man asked curiously, "I know a thing or two about Cloud Mountain Village. Why did you come all the way here?" Li Feng's eyes turned red. He clenched his fists and said, "I want to ask Brother Gao to avenge the villagers." "Avenge?" The white-haired old man frowned and said, "Avenge who?" "All the villagers." "And Uncle Yuntai?" Li Feng lowered his head, his eyes filled with tears. "What happened? When Gao Xiaosan left, didn't he already help you solve all your problems?" The white-haired old man raised his eyebrows. "At that time, Brother Gao did help us solve all our problems. We also thought that we would be able to live a peaceful life from now on. But the weather is unpredictable. At the end of the year when Brother Gao left, the people from the city lord's mansion came and killed everyone in our village. They even took Xiao He away." Li Feng said with grief and indignation. "What?" The white-haired old man's body trembled. "I would have died at that time, but Uncle Yuntai used the villagers' corpses to bury me and let me crash to death. That was how I escaped." Li Feng wiped his tears as he said that. His face was filled with hatred. Chapter 2390. They're all dead. The white-haired old man muttered. He waved his hand and activated an altar. He looked at Li Feng and said, "To Cloud Mountain Village." "Okay." Li Feng nodded and quickly followed. After activating several altars, the white-haired old man and Li Feng finally arrived above Cloud Mountain Village. However, the originally quiet and peaceful Cloud Mountain Village, which was surrounded by clouds and mist like a paradise, had now become a ruin overgrown with weeds. The white-haired old man took a step forward and landed somewhere. The ground here was dark red. It was stained with blood. The air seemed to be filled with the smell of blood. It's all destroyed. Cloud Mountain Village no longer exists. Li Feng muttered. The white-haired old man asked, "Where are their corpses?" Li Feng said, "I buried everyone in the cemetery behind the mountain. Bring me there." The white-haired old man said. "Yes." Li Feng nodded and flew to the back of the mountain. Soon, the two appeared above a valley. The valley covered an area of about half a mile. The ground was covered with a layer of green grass. There were birch trees on both sides swaying in the wind. Tombs were neatly arranged in the valley. Li He's tomb. Li Yun's tomb. Li Yi's tomb. Li Xiaojin's tomb. Li Yuntai's tomb. Looking at the names on the tombstones, the white-haired old man's eyes were filled with killing intent. He said to Li Feng without turning his head, "Tell me the details." On the second morning after the new year, the city lord's mansion came to collect the soul stones. Uncle Yuntai had already prepared it and sent it to them immediately. But they said it wasn't enough. Li Feng said. "Not enough? Did Li Yuntai not prepare enough soul stones?" The white-haired old man frowned. "Of course. 10 soul stones for each head, not one less. We were also very puzzled at that time. In the end, they said that every village under the jurisdiction of Black Rock City would have to hand over 20 soul stones every year. It's only doubled. Of course we didn't agree. Aren't they bullying us? But our resistance was meaningless. Instead, it aroused their murderous intent. Because the first village they came to was our Cloud Mountain Village. They wanted to make an example out of us so that the other villages would not dare to resist. So at that time, the leader gave the order to massacre the entire village. Li Feng clenched his fists and bit his lips as he said in a deep voice. She bit her lips so hard that they bled. His hands were also pierced by his nails. Drops of blood dripped down. Kill 1 to warn 100. The white-haired old man was furious. Li Feng said, "Ever since Cloud Mountain Village was massacred, the other villages didn't dare to resist. All of them obediently handed over their soul stones." The white-haired old man asked, "Who's the leader?" Li Feng said with hatred, "It's that young Master Wu who died in your hands not long ago." "It's him?" The white-haired old man was stunned. "Yes. Later on, according to my inquiries, his father, Wu Dao, is the new city lord. Moreover, it was his father's order to double the soul stones. I want revenge. But my strength is too weak. So I thought of Big Brother Gao and hid in Black Rock City. Because I heard that Big Brother Gao appeared in Black Rock City and even killed the former city lord. So I thought that he would definitely appear again. Heaven rewards those who persevere. Today, I finally found him. Senior." Li Feng suddenly knelt in the void, looked at the white-haired old man, and said, "Please, let Big Brother Gao help me. As long as you can kill these beasts and save Xiao He, I'm willing to be your slave for the rest of my life." Sigh. The white-haired old man sighed, took out an illusory pill, and changed back to Gao Xiaosan's appearance, then turned to look at Li Feng. "Big Brother Gao?" Li Feng was immediately stunned. "It's me." "That's right. This person was Qin Feiyang. The reason why he pretended to be a smelly old man was that he wanted to test the attitude and position of the treasure pavilion. Their attitude was very good. But their position was a little dissatisfied. As for young Master Wu, that was purely courting death. However, the appearance of young Master Wu also made the position of the treasure pavilion clearer. In the future, he couldn't have a deep relationship with the people of the treasure pavilion. Is it really you? Li Feng's trembling hand grabbed Qin Feiyang. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. That's great. I've finally found you. Li Feng immediately burst into tears, venting the pain he had suffered in the past 2 years. Qin Feiyang patted his shoulder, feeling a little sad. When he left, Cloud Mountain Village was still fine. In order to protect Cloud Mountain Village, he even went to kill the City Lord and the City Lord's guards. But he didn't expect that Cloud Mountain Village still couldn't escape. And Li Feng, as an inexperienced and fragile person, would definitely break down in the face of such a sudden disaster. It was already very difficult for him to tenaciously hold on until now. After a while, when Li Feng's emotions calmed down, Qin Feiyang asked, "Is Xiao He still alive?" "I don't know. Although I've been lurking in Black Rock City for so long and have been trying to find out about Xiao He's news, I'm not capable enough." Li Feng shook his head, his face full of self-blame. "Enough. As a man, what's the point of crying?" Qin Feiyang shouted. Li Feng's body trembled, he quickly suppressed the grief in his heart, stood up and looked at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang opened an altar and said, "Let's go, I'll take you to take revenge." "All right." Li Feng nodded. Black Rock City. At this moment, it was still a mess. The guards of the City Lord's mansion almost came out in full force and sealed off the entire city. They were naturally looking for Qin Feiyang. City Lord's mansion. In a large hall. In the middle, there were corpses. The leading corpse was the purple-clothed young man. Above, a middle-aged man sat on a throne, looking at the purple-clothed young man, his hands tightly gripping the armrests on both sides. This person was the current City Lord, the head of the Wu family, Wu Dao. Crack. In the end, he clenched his hands and the armrests on both sides of the throne shattered on the spot. Then, he looked at the 2 guards standing on both sides of the hall and shouted, "Go and invite Lord Long Qi here." "Yes." The 2 black-armored guards responded and immediately ran out of the hall. About 100 breaths passed. A black-clothed old man suddenly appeared in the hall. The 2 guards also ran in after him. "What's going on?" Looking at the corpses all over the floor, the black-clothed old man frowned. Wu Dao immediately ran in front of the black-clothed old man and shouted, "Lord, you have to uphold justice for me. Don't worry. Since you followed me, I definitely won't sit back and do nothing." "What's going on?" the black-clothed old man said. Wu Dao looked at the 2 guards and said, "Tell me." "Lord Long Qi, it's like this." The 2 guards immediately told him everything in detail. Although they weren't present at that time, many people saw it, so they knew after checking. "White-haired old man. Smelly? Great success, Sir God." The black-clothed old man pondered for a while and said, "I've never heard of such a person. Did your son offend anyone?" "If you want to talk about offending people, there are definitely many. Because he was the one who brought people to collect soul stones for the past 2 years. I also heard that in order to make an example, he even ordered a massacre of a village. But all of this was for you, Lord. Look, we didn't take any of the soul stones collected for the past 2 years. We gave them all to you." Wu Dao said. The black-clothed old man raised his eyebrows and said, "I know. I don't need you to deliberately remind me." Wu Dao shrank his neck and didn't dare to speak again. The black-clothed old man asked, "What do you want to do?" Wu Dao said, "That old thing must be killed, but the treasure pavilion can't escape the blame." The black-clothed old man was slightly stunned and frowned. "Is this related to the treasure pavilion?" "He died in their treasure pavilion." "Of course, it's related. We'll talk about it later." The people of the treasure pavilion clearly know that he's my son and that we have you as our backer, but they let that old thing leave. Isn't this showing that they look down on you? Wu Dao said angrily. Indeed. If the treasure pavilion really respects me, then they should take that person down and wait for us to go over. The black-clothed old man nodded. Isn't that right? And I also heard that they sold that old thing a pill furnace. Lord, you were sent by the dragons to oversee Blackstone City. You're of noble stature. How dare the treasure pavilion ignore your existence? They're simply looking down on you and the dragons. They must be punished. Wu Dao roared with righteous indignation. In fact, he had long been prejudiced against the treasure pavilion. Because before he became the city lord, he was only the head of the Wu family. His status was not as high as it was now. Naturally, the treasure pavilion would not be afraid of him and would definitely not give him face. Over time, he harbored resentment in his heart. Therefore, he wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to use the dragon's hand to deal with the treasure pavilion. Alright, let's go to the treasure pavilion now. The old man in black pondered for a while before a cold light flashed in his eyes and he shouted. Boom! At this moment, outside, a terrifying divine power emerged. Immediately after, pieces of rust fell from the sky and instantly enveloped the entire main hall. What's going on? The old man in black, Wu Dao, and the two guards in the main hall had a trace of surprise on their faces. Upon closer inspection, they discovered that the pieces of rust actually formed a barrier that enveloped the main hall. What is this thing? The two guards stepped forward and curiously stretched out their hands to touch the rust. Immediately, a terrifying destructive force surged out. The two of them screamed as their physical bodies were instantly torn apart and they died on the spot. Wu Dao's face was filled with horror. What the hell was this? It was actually so terrifying. The old man in black's pupils suddenly constricted as he looked at the rust outside the door and muttered, "It seems a little familiar." Suddenly, the image of a rusty axe appeared in his mind. It's him. And him. Then, the old man in black looked as if he had seen a ghost. His body trembled violently and his face was deathly pale. Chapter 2391. Who? Wu Dao was bewildered. What kind of existence had descended that even the old man in black was so afraid? Quickly think of a way to escape. The old man in black did not explain and roared. Boom! Divine power rolled out like a torrent, bombarding the enchantment. However, divine power bombarded the enchantment, but there was not the slightest ripple. Must be quick! The old man in black roared. With a clang, a long saber appeared. It was a peak-level divine artifact. Seeing this, Wu Dao also immediately took out his divine artifact. When the divine artifact recovered, the two of them frantically bombarded the enchantment. Clang! The divine artifact collided with the rust, and suddenly burst out a dazzling flame. The main hall was shattered on the spot. Crack! Following closely, under Wu Dao's horrified gaze, two pieces of rust flew out, invincible. Their two divine artifacts were also torn apart. How is this possible? A mere piece of rust actually has such terrifying power? This scene made Wu Dao extremely incredulous. The old man in black slowly collapsed, his eyes trembling, falling into deep despair. Suddenly, a crack appeared on the enchantment. Wu Dao's eyes lit up, and shouted, "Lord, look, there's a crack." The old man in black was also shocked, and immediately shouted, "Let's go." Go? A cold voice suddenly sounded. The voice fell. Outside the enchantment, two figures appeared. It was Qin Feiyang, Li Feng, and Fu Tu. It's you. Wu Dao's eyes widened. Wasn't this the person who killed the previous city lord? Qin Feiyang took Li Feng and Fu Tu, stepped across the crack, and stood opposite the two. The crack on the enchantment also quickly healed. It's over. It's really over this time. The old man in black once again collapsed on the ground, his old face without a trace of blood. What do you want to do? Do you know who is next to me? He is the messenger sent by the dragons to guard the Black Rock City. If you dare to attack him, you will offend the dragons. If you know what's good for you, kneel down and beg for mercy. Otherwise, this day next year will be the anniversary of your death. Wu Dao, who did not know Qin Feiyang's identity, shouted sternly. Kneel and beg for mercy? Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them with a playful smile. However, when Li Feng heard that the black-clothed old man was actually the messenger of the dragons, he immediately panicked. Dragons were supreme existences. Apart from the Dragon Slayer Palace, who would dare to challenge the Dragon Clan? Did you hear that? Kneel! Wu Dao shouted. Shut up! The black-clothed old man abruptly stood up and sent out a slap. Wu Dao was immediately sent flying, crashing heavily onto the ground. He looked at the old man in black with a puzzled expression. Why did he hit him? You know nothing. The black-clothed old man cursed angrily. He quickly turned to Qin Feiyang and said with a flattering smile, Brother Qin, this man has eyes but can't see. He didn't recognize Mount Tai. Please forgive him. So humble? Is he a big shot of the dragons? Wu Dao was surprised and quickly got up. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, Sir, I'm sorry. It's my fault. Please forgive me. Qin Feiyang chuckled. Then, he sat down on a chair at the side. Who on earth is Brother Gao? Even the dragons are so afraid of him. Also, isn't Brother Gao's surname Gao? Why did this old man call him Brother Qin? Li Feng thought to himself. Seeing that Qin Feiyang was silent, the black-clothed old man felt even more uneasy. He smiled and said, Brother Qin, just take whatever you want. Don't be. No, don't be polite with me. He was no longer arrogant. His arrogance was gone. He was like an obedient pug. If your patriarch, ancestral dragon, and venerable dragon saw your humble attitude, I'm afraid they would die of anger. Qin Feiyang looked at him mockingly. The black-clothed old man's body stiffened and said with a smile, They aren't here. Huh, Qin Feiyang laughed loudly. He looked at the two of them and asked, Where were you planning to go? The black-clothed old man said, Wu Dao's son was killed, so we were going to find the real murderer. Qin Feiyang said, Then do you know that I was the one who killed his son? What? The black-clothed old man's eyes trembled. Why was it this fierce man again? Wu Dao's expression was also stunned. It was this person in front of him who killed his son? Not only that, but he even came to their city lord's mansion openly? How much did he look down on them? Wu Dao, not only did I kill your son, I also killed your brother. Qin Feiyang said. What? Wu Dao's body and mind trembled. Do you know why I killed them? Because they deserve to be killed. Of course. And you too. Qin Feiyang said with a faint smile. Wu Dao clenched his hands tightly, his eyes full of hostility. Seeing that the situation was not good, the black-clothed old man hurriedly transmitted his voice, Wu Dao, you better be honest with me, don't mess around. Wu Dao turned a deaf ear, and a burst of anger and killing intent surged out uncontrollably in his heart. His son and brother were the people he cared about the most. And now, the enemy was right in front of him. Anyone with some courage would not be able to endure it. Wu Dao, it doesn't matter if you want to die, but don't implicate me. Do you know who he is? The black-clothed old man hurriedly said. I don't care who he is. A life for a life. Moreover, I don't believe that he really dares to go against the dragons. Wu Dao roared, his eyes red, like a beast, pouncing towards Qin Feiyang. Brother Gao, be careful. Li Feng hurriedly reminded. Qin Feiyang just smiled faintly. Boom! Seeing that Wu Dao was about to pounce in front of Qin Feiyang, the black-clothed old man suddenly stood up and slapped Wu Dao's back. Puff! Wu Dao immediately spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. The black-clothed old man stepped on Wu Dao again and looked at Qin Feiyang flatteringly, saying, Brother Qin, I have already subdued him. You can do whatever you want with him. Qin Feiyang chuckled and lowered his head to look at the struggling Wu Dao, saying, Did you see that? Your so-called backer directly turned to me. Lord Longqi, what is going on? You are the dragons, why are you afraid of a human? And he is only a great success, Divine Lord. Wu Dao roared hysterically. Shut up, I beg you, shut up, okay? Do you know who he is? His name is Qin Feiyang. He is the descendant of Qin Badian. Even the ancestral dragons were seriously injured by him and are still recuperating in the clan's land. Even Lord Long Zun couldn't take him down personally several times. Do you think that with our little strength, we are his match? Don't you know what level of divine weapon the axe beside him is? That is a heaven-defying divine weapon. The black-clothed old man secretly shouted. A heaven-defying divine weapon. The descendant of Qin Badian. Wu Dao looked at Qin Feiyang with his mouth agape. He never thought that this person's background would be so great. Not to mention anything else, the identity of the descendant of Qin Badian was enough to make people tremble in fear. Unknowingly, he had offended such a terrifying person. Heavens! Isn't this a joke? He couldn't help but wail in his heart. The black-clothed old man looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, Brother Qin, as long as you say the word, you don't have to do it yourself. I will help you destroy him. Don't kill me, young Master Qin, please give me a way out. I will be your slave. Wu Dao's body trembled as he hurriedly cried out. Qin Feiyang glanced at Wu Dao, then looked at the black-clothed old man and said, Why did you let him be the city lord of Black Rock City? The black-clothed old man said, he took the initiative to propose it. Qin Feiyang said, if he didn't give you enough benefits, would you agree to let him be the city lord? The black-clothed old man stammered. Young Master Qin, I gave him a lot of benefits, such as soul stones, divine crystals, medicinal herbs. And the taxes of the various villages, he also asked for it to be doubled. Wu Dao hurriedly said. Nonsense. Wasn't it your suggestion to increase taxes? The black-clothed old man said angrily. I just casually said it, and you actually want to implement it? You are a vampire that can't be fed. In these 2 years, the area under our Black Rock City has been filled with resentment because of you. Wu Dao shouted. Bastard, I will kill you. The black-clothed old man was furious. Wu Dao roared, even if you kill me, you can't hide your greedy heart. The black-clothed old man clenched his hands tightly. If it wasn't for Qin Feiyang beside him, he would really kill Wu Dao. Qin Feiyang didn't interrupt. This dog-eat-dog scene was really not bad, and it was worth admiring. Wu Dao looked at Qin Feiyang and said, Young Master Qin, don't be fooled by him. This has nothing to do with me. He is the one instigating it from behind. It's not like that. It's him, this damn thing. As soon as he sat on the city lord's position, he crazily oppressed the people. The black-clothed old man also hurriedly said. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly, glanced at Li Feng, and said, See, this is the ugly side of human nature. Li Feng nodded, looking at Wu Dao and Li Feng, his eyes were full of contempt. Qin Feiyang pointed at Li Feng, looked at the two, and said, "Do you know who he is?" The two looked at Li Feng for a while and shook their heads at the same time. "He is a survivor of Cloud Mountain Village. Do you know why I wanted to kill the previous city lord? Because I want to protect Cloud Mountain Village. Now you should understand why I came to find you, right?" Qin Feiyang said lightly. "Put on." When the black-clothed old man heard this, he immediately knelt on the ground, and said, "It really has nothing to do with me, it was all done by Wu Dou and his son, bastard. If it wasn't for your order, would we dare to do this? The soul stones collected in these 2 years have all entered your pocket, and you still have the nerve to push the responsibility to me?" Wu Dou roared. "Shut up." Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. The two quivered, looked at Qin Feiyang, and were incomparably terrified. "What kind of trash are you? I know in my heart. From now on, if I don't ask you to speak, you will shut up. If you dare to be noisy again, I will make you unable to speak forever." Qin Feiyang coldly shouted. "Yes, yes, yes." The two nodded repeatedly. Chapter 2392. Qin Feiyang looked at Wu Dou and said, "Back then, when your son ordered the massacre of Cloud Mountain Village, he brought back a woman. Where is she now?" "Woman?" Wu Dou was stunned. In the past 2 years, his son had brought back many women. But in his opinion, these were all small matters, so he did not ask. However, there were some that he still had some impression of. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and Li He's shadow condensed. Wu Dou looked at it carefully for a moment, and his pupils suddenly shrank, but he quickly regained his calmness. Looking at Qin Feiyang, he shook his head and said, "I have no impression." Qin Feiyang's eyes turned cold, and said, "You really don't have any impression, or you don't dare to say it?" "I really don't." "You have to believe me." Wu Dou said. "You are the city lord. Xiao He came to the city lord's mansion, I don't believe that you haven't seen her. Tell me, where is Xiao He?" Li Feng angrily rushed to Wu Dou, grabbed Wu Dou's clothes, and roared. "Little brother, I really don't know. All these years, I don't know how many my unfilial son has brought back." Wu Dou said anxiously. "I don't believe you. You must be lying." Li Feng growled, suddenly took out a dagger, and placed it on Wu Dou's neck, and said, "If you don't tell the truth, I will cut off your head. Little brother, don't be rash. Let me think about it." Wu Dou's face paled slightly, and hurriedly said. "Then." He lowered his head and muttered to himself. But suddenly, he raised his arm like lightning, grabbed Li Feng's neck with one hand, and dodged the dagger in Li Feng's hand with the other. Li Feng immediately panicked. "Little bastard, you dare to threaten me?" Wu Dou smiled sinisterly, and immediately placed the dagger on Li Feng's neck, staring at Qin Feiyang, and shouted, "Immediately tell that artifact to disperse the enchantment." The old man in black also stood up and stood beside Wu Dou, looking at Qin Feiyang with a sneer. "Big brother Gao," Li Feng looked at Qin Feiyang in panic. This was something he did not expect at all. It was also because he was inexperienced. For experts like the black-robed old man and Wu Dou, subduing a small war god was as easy as flipping their hands. Anyone with a bit of experience wouldn't dare to get close to them. The old man in black sneered, "Qin Feiyang, did you hear that? Release the barrier and let us go, or we will kill him." Qin Feiyang looked at Li Feng, then looked at the black-clothed old man and Wu Dou, remaining silent. "You're not afraid? All right. I'll kill him right now." Wu Dou smiled sinisterly. He exerted a little force with the dagger in his hand, and a wound immediately appeared on Li Feng's neck. Blood flowed out. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and said, "You should know that if you kill him, you will die too." Since there's someone to take the fall for me, it doesn't matter. Wu Dao said. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and said, now tell me, where is Li He? Wu Dao said, I'm not afraid to tell you now. She died a long time ago. What? Li Feng was dumbfounded. Back then, when my son brought her back, he wanted to train her into a female slave. But she was very disobedient. In the end, she angered my son, so he chopped off her head. Her corpse was dragged to feed the dogs. Wu Dao sneered. Xiao He is dead. Li Feng's face was pale. Why did he lurk in Black Rock City for so long? Wasn't it to save Xiao He? But now, he received news of her death. In the entire Cloud Mountain village, there were more than 2,000 families, a total of 10,000 people, and now he was the only one left? Xiao He, why? Why was the heavens so cruel? Such a kind and lovely group of people, why did they have to suffer such unfair treatment? Animals, they were all animals. You bastards, I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. Li Feng roared, and a destructive aura suddenly rushed out of his body. Self-destruction. Sigh. Qin Feiyang sighed and nodded to the axe next to him. The axe shook, and a mighty pressure instantly shrouded the entire barrier. Whether it was the old man in black or Wu Dao, they were all imprisoned on the spot. Li Feng's self-destruction was also forcefully stopped. Qin Feiyang walked forward and pushed away the dagger in Wu Dao's hand. He looked at Li Feng and said, life is full of disasters, seeking death is not the solution. Brother Gao, Li Feng looked at Qin Feiyang, his eyes were full of despair. I don't know how to comfort you. But I believe that Li He, Li Yuntai, and the villagers of Cloud Mountain Village, all hope that you can live well. And now, you are the only person in Cloud Mountain Village who is still alive. The continuation of Cloud Mountain Village depends on you. Qin Feiyang said. Li Feng's eyes trembled, and he nodded. Yes, I have to live strong, I want to continue the legacy of Cloud Mountain Village, I want to kill all the dragons, these animals. If it weren't for the dragon supporting Wu Dao and his son, would the father and son be so unscrupulous and run amok? All of this was the fault of the dragons. The hatred and murderous intent in his heart was unprecedentedly strong. Then let's start with the first step. Kill them first, then slowly deal with the dragons. Qin Feiyang smiled. Li Feng suddenly turned around and stared at Wu Dao and the old man in black, his eyes emitting a bloodthirsty light. At this moment, he was completely different from before. His entire body was emitting a terrifying aura. Wu Dao and the old man saw this and panicked. But they were imprisoned by the pressure of the axe, they couldn't even move a finger. They could only watch as the Grim Reaper came. Don't worry. I will take good care of you, I won't let you die so easily. Li Feng snatched the dagger from Wu Dao's hand, and a sinister smile appeared on his face. Qin Feiyang sighed inwardly. He turned around and transmitted his voice, Huolian, help me prepare some medicinal pills. What pills? Fire Lotus's voice rang out. Pills to open the door of potential, as well as pills to increase cultivation, one each. Qin Feiyang said. Got it. Fire Lotus replied. Are you ready? I'm starting. Li Feng's sinister laughter sounded behind him. Following closely. One after another, mournful screams rang out within the enchantment, incessantly ringing in the ears. Qin Feiyang didn't look. Because he could imagine that it would definitely be an extremely bloody scene. And this matter would also completely change Li Feng. For Li Feng, this change was both a good and a bad thing. Good, he had seen the cruelty of the world and the ugliness of human nature, which would be helpful for his future growth. Bad, if his willpower wasn't firm enough, he might be swayed by hatred and become a bloodthirsty devil. However, this was Li Feng's own matter, he had no right to interfere. The only thing he could do was to give Li Feng some good fortune out of sympathy. After half an hour, the screams of the old man in black and Wu Dao finally came to an end. Qin Feiyang turned his head to look. Where was there anyone else? Only flesh and blood and dragon meat were left on the ground. The dragon meat naturally belonged to the old man in black. After his death, he would automatically return to his divine dragon body. The bloody scene made people not dare to look straight at it. Chapter 2393. Li Feng's entire body was also covered in blood. But he was not afraid at all. Instead, he was very happy. The bloodthirsty light in his eyes became more and more intense. Brother Gao, thank you for giving me the chance to take revenge. Li Feng let out a long breath, knelt in front of Qin Feiyang, and said with great respect. Get up. Qin Feiyang smiled. Li Feng stood up. Although the anger in his heart had subsided, the murderous aura on his body did not dissipate. His eyes seemed to be dyed red with blood, causing people to shudder in fear. Qin Feiyang frowned and asked, Do you want to follow me? If this sentence was heard by people familiar with Qin Feiyang, they would definitely find it unbelievable. Because it was usually others who took the initiative to beg to follow him. However, in the face of Qin Feiyang's invitation, Li Feng did not even think about it and shook his head. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He was rejected. The artifact spirit was also a little stunned and said, You are the first person to reject him. No. He is the second. The first is Gongsun Bei. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. He had always felt regretful about Gongsun Bei. It's not that I don't want to, but I know that Brother Gao is a person who will do great things. I can't be a burden to you. If one day, I can catch up to Big Brother Gao, then I will definitely go find you and lend you a helping hand. Li Feng said solemnly. Qin Feiyang smiled and did not force him. He said, Wait for me first. Then, he entered the castle. Fire Lotus was standing in the hall. When she saw Qin Feiyang appear, she handed Qin Feiyang a jade box. Qin Feiyang opened the jade box and looked at it. Then, he entered the cultivation room and took out the second-grade divine-level pill furnace he bought from the treasure pavilion and started refining pills. A moment later, a Nirvana divine pill and a Chaos divine pill were out. Qin Dage, you are taking care of him. Aren't you afraid that he is a white-eyed wolf? Fire Lotus said jokingly. I believe in my eyesight. Time will prove everything. Qin Feiyang smiled and put the Nirvana divine pill and Chaos divine pill into the jade box. Then, he left the castle with the jade box and handed it to Li Feng. What is it? Li Feng took the jade box and looked suspiciously at Qin Feiyang. Silly boy, of course it's good stuff. Others can't even ask for it. The artifact spirit jokingly scolded. Really? Li Feng hurriedly opened the Qiankuan pouch. Shockingly, there were over a dozen medicinal pills inside. He had never seen any of these pills before. These 3 pills are potential pills. They can help you become a martial artist, martial master, and martial ancestor. These are potential pills. This is the small creation pill, this is the great creation pill. And these are 4 symbols: infinite divine pill, dragon soul primordial divine pill, nirvana divine pill, chaos divine pill. After Qin Feiyang explained them one by one, Li Feng realized the importance of these pills. If any of these pills were taken out, there was no doubt that it would lead to a bloodbath. He did not expect Qin Feiyang would give him such a big gift. Brother Gao, thank you. You are my second parent. I swear that I will make you my goal in the future. I will work hard and not let you down. Li Feng knelt on the ground again. His blood-stained face was full of gratitude. Second parent? I don't have that qualification. I am not qualified to be your goal. There is still a long way to go. Let's work hard together. Qin Feiyang smiled. Li Feng nodded heavily. Qin Feiyang turned to look at Fu Tu. With a thought from the axe, the enchantment formed by the rust collapsed with a loud bang. Outside, there were hundreds of people gathered. They were the guards and servants of the city governor's mansion. Each of them held a weapon and looked coldly at Qin Feiyang and Fu Tu. Where is the city governor? Where is Lord Long Qi? What did you do to them? A black-clothed elder with a gloomy face stood out and shouted at Qin Feiyang and Fu Tu. He was the housekeeper of the Wu family and was now the housekeeper of the city governor's mansion. He had the cultivation of a perfect Sir God. Qin Feiyang pointed at the pile of flesh behind him and said, "Are you talking about them?" "What?" The black-clothed elder's expression changed. The other guards and servants could not help but feel a chill down their spines. Qin Feiyang didn't pay any more attention to them and opened a teleportation altar. "Stop. After killing the city governor and Lord Long Qi, you want to leave just like that?" The black-clothed elder shouted. "What else do you want? Massacre the city governor's mansion?" Qin Feiyang jumped onto the altar and looked down at the black-clothed elder with his hands behind his back. The black-clothed elder's pupils shrank. The others could not help but start to retreat. So domineering. Li Feng muttered as he looked at Qin Feiyang's back. His eyes were burning with passion. That was worship and respect. "Take care of yourself," Qin Feiyang said lightly, and the teleportation altar quickly recovered. Very soon, Qin Feiyang and Fu Tu disappeared without a trace. Of course, they had to leave. Because of the fate contract, Long Qi's death might have alarmed the dragons. If they did not leave now, when the dragons came, they would not be able to leave. As expected. Not long after Qin Feiyang left, a middle-aged man in black appeared in the sky above the city governor's mansion. The man was 7 feet tall and his eyes were like torches. He wore a black crown on his head. He was like a king who had descended and exuded a terrifying oppression. "Who is it?" The people from the city governor's mansion pointed their weapons at the black-clothed man. The black-clothed man's face was filled with contempt. He ignored them and scanned the ground. When he saw Long Qi's corpse, his face suddenly sank. How did he die? The black-clothed man stepped down and looked at the black-clothed elders group as he asked. "Who exactly are you?" The black-clothed elder asked with a trembling voice. This man's oppression was even stronger than the previous man. The black-clothed man said word by word, "I am the clan leader of the Black Dragon clan." The clan leader of the Black Dragons? Everyone looked at each other. This was a legendary peerless figure. "Greetings, sir." The next moment, everyone knelt on the ground in unison. The black-clothed man shouted, "Answer me, how did he die?" The butler waved his hand and Qin Feiyang, Li Feng, and Fu Tu's shadow appeared. He said, "They killed the city governor and Lord Long Qi." The black-clothed man glanced at Qin Feiyang and Li Feng and locked his gaze on Fu Tu. He immediately had an answer in his heart. The black-clothed man turned and looked at the butler. He asked, "Who are you?" The butler hurriedly said, "Sir, I am the butler of the city governor's mansion." "Good. Immediately give the order to search the area around Black Rock City. No matter what, we must find these 2 people. In addition, after I return, I will immediately send other messengers to guard Black Rock City. In the future, you will listen to his orders." The black-clothed man said expressionlessly. "Yes." The butler nodded respectfully. "Qin Feiyang, you really know how to jump around." The black-clothed man secretly snorted and opened an altar and left quickly. The butler immediately ordered the guards behind him to search for Qin Feiyang. Chapter 2394. Cloud Mountain Village. Back Mountain, Graveyard. Li Feng stood in front of Li Yuntai's grave and murmured, "Uncle Yuntai, I'm sorry, I couldn't protect Xiao He." His face was full of self-blame and pain. Qin Feiyang stood aside, silent. As for Fu Tu, he had returned to the castle. "But, although I couldn't save Xiao He, with the help of Brother Gao, I have avenged the villagers. Uncle Yuntai, you can rest in peace in the underworld. But, now I'm the only one left in Cloud Mountain Village. I'm so lonely. I miss you so much." This was a very desolate scene. Li Feng was like a helpless teenager, slowly squatting in front of the grave and crying bitterly. Qin Feiyang didn't say a word from beginning to end. For someone like Li Feng who had never experienced wind and rain, such a blow was devastating to him. Although time could fade memories, the trauma in his heart could never be healed. For this kind of trauma, it was useless to be comforted by others. He could only rely on himself to stand up and walk out of the sorrow. No one knew how long had passed. Boom! Suddenly, 3 auras descended above Cloud Mountain Village. Qin Feiyang turned his head to look above the village and frowned slightly. Cloud Mountain Village had been destroyed, why would anyone come? And these 3 auras weren't weak. One of them was a great perfection Sir God. The other 2 auras were also great perfection Sir God. Boom! Following closely, a divine thought emerged, with the village as the center, rolling in all directions. What's going on? Qin Feiyang frowned more and more. He actually released his divine thought, looking for something. Could it be someone from the City Lord Mansion? Cloud Mountain Village had long been in ruins, no one would come here to look for something. Glancing at Li Feng, there was no reaction. Qin Feiyang took a step forward and appeared above the village in a few breaths. Immediately, he saw 3 figures standing above the village. The leader was a black-robed old man with the cultivation of a great perfection Sir God. It was he who released his divine thought. It's him? Qin Feiyang was stunned. This person was the housekeeper he met in the City Lord Mansion. The other 2 were the guards of the City Lord Mansion. At the same time, the black-robed old man's divine sense also detected Qin Feiyang. He turned around and a cold light flashed in his eyes. "How did you know we were here?" Qin Feiyang walked towards the 3 of them step by step, his body emitting a trace of killing intent. It's not hard to guess. Because he has taken his revenge, Li Feng will definitely return to Yunshan village to offer sacrifices. The black-robed old man said. Smart. There was a hint of appreciation in Qin Feiyang's eyes. You flatter me. The black-clothed old man sneered. Qin Feiyang continued, however, you are also very stupid. Even Wu Dao and Long Qi are no match for me, let alone you. Butler, let's retreat first. This person is not someone we can deal with. The 2 guards looked at Qin Feiyang in horror and said. Yes. The black-robed old man nodded. One of the guards immediately activated a teleportation altar. The 2 of them immediately turned around and jumped towards the altar. You want to leave? Qin Feiyang shook his head and sneered. He was about to make a move. But at this moment, the black-robed old man suddenly turned around and raised his hands. Divine force surged and rushed towards the 2 guards. Ah! Accompanied by 2 blood-curdling screams, the 2 guards died before they could figure out what was going on. Qin Feiyang was also shocked. Killing each other? What was going on? The black-clothed old man coldly swept a glance at the corpses of the 2 bodyguards, then turned to look at Qin Feiyang. He abruptly knelt in the air, and respectfully said, "Subordinate Fan Yunzhang greets young lord." This, Qin Feiyang was even more confused. Subordinate? Young lord? What did this mean? Did you get the wrong person? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Fan Yunzhang said respectfully, "Yes, because you are Qin Feiyang. You know my identity?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. The black-robed old man looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Young lord, I'm actually from the dragon-slaying palace." Dragon-slaying palace? Qin Feiyang was shocked. Wasn't this the force created by the ancestors in the divine land? This man was actually from the dragon-slaying palace. Young lord, Fan Yunzhang was about to say something. Qin Feiyang hurriedly waved his hand and said, "Wait a minute. What does young lord mean? Long before you entered the divine land, Emperor Qin had already made you one of the young lords of the dragon-slaying palace. And young lord status in the dragon-slaying palace is second only to the 4 emperors. Even the 8 supreme divine emperors and 108 divine generals of the dragon-slaying palace have to be respectful to young lord." Fan Yunzhang said. "So awesome?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. Unknowingly, he had become such an important person. Wait a minute. Why didn't they ask for his opinion on such an important matter? Did he agree to be the young lord? Besides, he didn't even know where the dragon-slaying palace was, let alone know anything about it. "Young lord, I know you must have a lot of questions now, but I'm sorry, I can't tell you. Now, this is the divine general's order. Before completing the task, I can't reveal anything to you." Fan Yunzhang said respectfully. "Divine General?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "The Divine General has been secretly watching you, but he can't say or see you." Fan Yunzhang shook his head. "You're sneaking around." Qin Feiyang snorted and asked, "What task? Also, why should I believe you?" He knew nothing about the dragon-slaying palace. He didn't know if there was such a person at all. What if he was a pawn of the dragons? I guessed that young lord would have doubts. Fan Yunzhang smiled, took out a token from his arms, and handed it to Qin Feiyang respectfully. "Young lord, please take a look." Qin Feiyang took the token. The token was the size of a baby's palm, pure white, with an azure dragon engraved on the front. There was a sword on the azure dragon's head, and a name on the back. It was Fan Yunzhang's name. What does this mean? Qin Feiyang looked at the pattern and asked suspiciously. Fan Yunzhang said, "This is the pattern of the dragon-slaying palace. This token is also the identity token of the dragon-slaying palace." "The pattern of the dragon-slaying palace," Qin Feiyang muttered and frowned. "I've never seen the identity token of the dragon-slaying palace before. How do I know if this thing is real or fake?" As the divine general said, young lord is a very cautious and meticulous person. Fan Yunzhang laughed. Qin Feiyang said, "I don't want to listen to your nonsense. Please take out something that can convince me." "Then, young lord, do you believe in this thing?" Fan Yunzhang took out a jade pendant and handed it to Qin Feiyang. "Twin dragon pendant." Qin Feiyang frowned. "Yes. This is the other half of the twin dragon pendant that you gave to Miss Mermaid." Fan Yunzhang said. "Isn't this jade pendant in the hands of a black-armored man? Could it be that he is the immortal general you were talking about?" Qin Feiyang said. "I can't say." Fan Yunzhang shook his head, and there was no trace of his calm expression. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but be angry and asked, "What mission?" Since the twin dragon pendant was in the hands of this person, his identity must be real. First, the Dragon God Palace. Second, let me succeed as the city lord of Blackstone City. Fan Yunzhang said. "The Dragon God Palace?" Qin Feiyang frowned and asked, "Where is that?" "Young lord, go and inquire about it yourself." Fan Yunzhang said. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but be angry. He didn't say anything and had to inquire about everything himself. What was going on? Young lord, I'm just following orders. Fan Yunzhang saw Qin Feiyang's anger and said with a smile. In other words, don't make things difficult for him. Qin Feiyang asked, you mean to let me enter the Dragon God Palace? Yes. Fan Yunzhang nodded. Qin Feiyang said, why do I have to go to the Dragon God Palace? Fan Yunzhang laughed and said, we'll talk about it after you go in. Qin Feiyang clenched his fists. His patience had obviously reached its limit. Young lord, the dragon-slaying palace is very united. And there's also a rule. As long as you don't make a mistake, even the 4 emperors and 8 emperors can't hurt your subordinates. Fan Yunzhang said. Qin Feiyang's face darkened and said, I don't think I've admitted that I'm from the dragon-slaying palace. This was conferred by the Qin emperor himself, Fan Yunzhang said. In other words, the Qin emperor had conferred the title personally, and you had no choice but to admit it. Unless you denied that you were a descendant of the Qin emperor. He conferred the title personally, and I have to accept it? Aren't you underestimating me, Qin Feiyang? Let me tell you, I'm very prejudiced against him now. Don't keep using him to suppress me. If you piss me off, I'll kill you directly. Qin Feiyang shouted. Fan Yunzhang's expression froze, and he repeatedly apologized. Please calm down, please calm down. Actually, I don't know why you have to enter the Dragon God Palace. Qin Feiyang suddenly felt very tired. However, this kind of tiredness was not physical, but mental and spiritual. Couldn't he just tell him directly? Was there a need to guard against him like a thief? Qin Feiyang let out a long breath and said, let's not talk about this first. Just now, you said that you want to succeed as the city lord of Blackstone City? It's not what I want. It's an order from the higher-ups. Fan Yunzhang said. Qin Feiyang frowned and said, since it's an order from the higher-ups, with the strength of the dragon-slaying palace, why do you need my help? Actually, you don't need much help. You just need to raise my cultivation base to the half-step supreme god level. Because in order to succeed as the city lord, one must be at least half-step supreme god level. As for this matter, with the strength of the dragon-slaying palace, it's indeed easy to do. But the reason why I came to you is because I'm now your subordinate. Fan Yunzhang said. My subordinate? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes. From now on, I'm your subordinate. Among the young lords, except for you, no one has the right to order me. In the future, if you have any problems or needs, you can tell me. Of course. You also have to fulfill the responsibility of a superior. Fan Yunzhang laughed. Young lords? Qin Feiyang was stunned and said in surprise, not just me. Of course. The dragon-slaying palace has a total of 4 young lords, including you. The other 3 are better than you in terms of strength and experience. You have to work hard. Fan Yunzhang chuckled. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.